Alrighty, welcome everyone to Super Kicking with Steven. That's right, Super Kicking with Steven. So glad to be here. As you can tell, there is a person missing on one side of my screen. Greg, the one, is out rocking out. I can't remember what concert he said this weekend, but he has some concert. I think it's Rob Zombie. That sounds right. So I have to bring in some hosts, some guest hosts. I've also, put out a feeler if anybody else from the network of our big BW Sports One wants to join us. But for now, we have Quigs. Is that what we are calling you?
That's what you can call me. As long as it's not Fat Boy, we're good.
Okay, Fat Boy Quigs. We got you. No, sorry. Mr. Quigs, what is your official title? I forget. What podcast do you run on our lovely network?
Well, I was going to say, Matt, the source, as you guys like to call him, does, I guess he's the brains behind everything on this one, but we're all just a bit outside, and I'm the loudmouth.
Gotcha.
The baseball podcast, yep.
All right. So I'm loving the Bullet Club shirt you got rocking there. That looks like an old school one.
Yeah, it's if I can pan down here just a little bit. Got to go with the
Cody Rhodes.
Got to go with the nightmare.
Do you want to give the lovely people of Super Kicking It a little wrestling history of yourself? When did you start watching and all that fun stuff? Have you been to any big events? And just give us a little history of your wrestling fandom so we have an idea on that.
So it's been a little bit of on and off, as we know, through the years. Like, things come, things go.
Of course.
The earliest recollections I have are the Monday Night Wars. I remember being on family vacations, and my older cousins would put on Monday Night Raw, and I always just remember Kane. I thought the mask was cool, the pyro, just shooting everywhere. I thought that was sick. But I was still technically too young to watch that kind of stuff, so my parents wouldn't let me watch it. Fast forward a few years. It's around the time Rey Mysterio was debuting for SmackDown. And, we were watching it one night just for S's and G's. And I remember it was Rey Mysterio versus Chavo Guerrero. And Mysterio just comes out and he's doing all the lucha stuff, which I had never seen before. And I'm looking at my dad going, what is this? This is awesome. And, we go from there.
Sucked you in. Yeah.
Sucked me in. And then got my little brother into it, and we would practice wrestling moves on each other. So we clearly ignored the "don't try this at home" statement.
I don't think anyone has ever truly paid attention to that statement.
I mean, can you call yourself a fan if you haven't really powerbombed somebody on their bed?
Exactly. Or if you've grabbed a wrestling buddy and you've tried the wrestling moves on them, which is my recollection. So, and Rey Mysterio will be celebrating 20 years tomorrow on Monday Night Raw.
Holy crap.
This year has been Orton, Cena, and Mysterio as like big celebrations of, wrestling histories.
That's crazy.
It's so hard to believe that OVW class of Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar,
Shelton Benjamin,
John Cena, and Batista.
That's
like the big four. Sorry, and yes, Benjamin was there.
They always forget Benjamin in that class, and even Cornette's the guy that says he was one of the more athletic guys.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, he's probably but let's just face it, he just never. He wasn't close to what any of those guys would do.
No, but I mean, you can't really have the guy go and be. His big thing was the gold standard when it was him and his mama.
His mama, Big Mama. She used to come there, and of course, he's known for selling the best super kick from Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, it was going 3/4 across the ring on the springboard. Yep.
So in my there we go. In my best Cody Rhodes voice, Quig. Sorry, I'm so used to saying Greg. I apologize. I'll probably say that a few times. What do we want to talk about? Because nothing really happened this week. I mean, nothing at all.
Yeah, I mean, who's this Vince guy?
Just as I
thought he blew up in a limo years ago.
He did, yes.
Oh, that's right. He came back.
He came back. So let's set the timeline for Friday. I believe first was Triple H was kind of reinstated or announced as he would take over his duties, take back his duties as head of talent relations. which meant John Laurinaitis, was out because he
People
was
power,
kind of
baby.
mentioned in some stuff as well. I wonder what the Bella twins think about this. It's funny. We haven't heard anything on their end.
Well, didn't he marry their mom or something?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their stepfather.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
that's
it's a little...
which I understand is probably, that's probably hard. But anyways, so we get that, which we're like, okay, that's pretty cool. That means Triple H is back. This comes out at 3, I think it was. And of course, us wrestling fans were like, is it official? Maybe. It probably is official, but the corporate statement comes out saying, yeah, this is official.
Yeah, I was going to say, because in Greg, I remember going, if we're talking about the group chat we were all going on.
Our group chat was...
It was blowing up.
I apologize. I did not expect that to blow up like we did.
Well, I had to introduce myself somehow, and I was like,
Yes.
"Oh, here we go, Vince McMahon."
Well, which was, and of course, I think we weren't even meaning to talk about wrestling, but I think it just kind of happened, and so this comes out, says Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan will be co-CEO, and then we can't forget that all of a sudden it says Brock Lesnar walks out of Raw or SmackDown. He shows up at the end. Things,
worked us all. Worked us all.
I think he still left. He's a hothead. I mean, I think there was. I think he. I mean, we can't forget the scene where he threw the title at Vince after I think a SummerSlam or WrestleMania. I mean,
yeah, after
it's not beyond him to believe that he was pretty pissed off.
But I mean, a guy like Brock Lesnar too. I mean, you're paying him how much money?
I think either Triple H had to talk to him, or maybe Vince McMahon himself talked to him. I mean,
it was probably Triple H.
I legit think I think he was away. I think they legit didn't know if he was going to be back.
And let's be honest here: is there anybody in that locker room that's going to stand in front of Brock Lesnar and go, "No, you hold up right there, buddy"?
Chris Jericho. Have you heard the story of Chris Jericho?
That. I was going to say, I heard the Jericho one about Goldberg.
So he said, the SummerSlam match between Randy Orton and Brock Lesnar, where
when he did the elbow.
Brock was laying into him, and it looked like Orton was legit, out of it. And, and Jericho said he stood up to Brock. And he's like, I'm probably going to get, he went nose to nose with him, as he says. Right? He's probably like, well, I might get punched in the face, but hey, I'm standing up for what's right. Now, Jericho has talked a lot lately, so. But knowing Jericho, he probably did.
I mean, he probably stood up to him, but that's going to be his point. But I want to know, what else happened?
Yes, exactly. So, so the first things first, is Vince McMahon gone?
I think, for a PR standpoint, for a public company, he has to be gone.
Yes.
And even too earlier, like you were expecting, or not expecting, I should say, the group chat to blow up. Is this more of a wrestling news thing, or is this just breaking news? Because, I mean, even the casual people know Vince McMahon. Like you say Vince McMahon, people can automatically put one and two together.
Yeah.
So,
or like the fact that Wall Street Journal had to break all of this timeline. So let's see. Essentially, it started about 2 months ago.
With the one, and then
$3 to $4 million in NDA paid out, which is not good. And then it came out about a week or two ago. Oh, by the way, it was $12 million. It was over 16 years. It possibly included a female talent who refused oral sex from him, who eventually did not get her contract renewed.
Shocker there. It was Mickie James. That makes sense.
She tweeted out right afterwards saying, I guess that's why I didn't get the raise.
Yeah, but that's also a thing, too. She's smart enough to capitalize on.
I think she could play the work, yes.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if somebody like her. You got to think it was probably some I know Mickey's not mid-level, but you got to think maybe it was not Trish Stratus or Charlotte Flair or I mean, people are trying to piece together the Sasha Naomi stuff to this.
I think that's two separate things.
I think it is.
Yeah, because the Sasha Naomi thing, it's all about the horrible booking of the women's tag titles.
Yes,
which
finally stepping up.
And it's own It's not even like a stepping up thing. It's you're putting two people who have no chemistry to. Oh well, Sasha and Naomi have.
They got it together.
The thing, but it's more like, oh, let's put Tamina and Natalia together just because they're legacies.
Yeah.
What else do they have in common?
Like we had
nothing.
Natalia and Shayna Baszler that had nothing. They had no chemistry.
It's just thrown together,
and that makes sense.
And I think just the average book, or not the average, but the typical booking of those titles is just them to say, you know what, enough's enough. We're tired of just this nothingness and flying, basically laying a turd and throwing it on the wall and seeing if it sticks.
And so not to get too off topic, but Sasha is going to be at Chicago Comic Expo. It's called C2E2 is kind of short term, but she's being billed as Mercedes Fernando, whatever her real name is.
Yeah.
But it says AKA Sasha Banks. But I think that's interesting that they're framing her as Mercedes first and then Sasha Banks.
Well, is the thing she's going to more of like because remember she also had the roles in The Mandalorian, so is it more of a?
It's a comic book expo, so but they are having Taker. They're not saying Mark Calloway, aka Taker. They're saying Undertaker.
Yeah. Well, Undertaker also doesn't he have that Legends contract too?
Probably. So yeah. Anyways, but so I'm on your side, and I think a lot of us are saying he's got to be gone because I'm afraid there's something more coming out, or else people put his feet to the fire, or something. I mean,
yeah, but how many times has his feet been put to the fire and he stood his ground?
But this is him personally. I guess the steroid case.
Forced personal? I mean, even in the steroid case, if you watch the Dark Side thing, he was wearing the neck brace just for the show.
That's true, yeah. And of course, the Chris Benoit, that got us to PG era, essentially.
No, they're not going to write Vince out like they wrote out Benoit. You just can't do that.
Pretty much, we had Stephanie come out there to move us along.
Yeah.
And that's also the PR side. I'm seeing, we're all expecting, maybe not you personally, but the general consensus. Yeah. Oh, there's going to be big changes right away. I don't know when we might. I think it's going to be incremental. I don't know if there's going to be like, I've said, in the chat, Raw and SmackDown need some overhaul, but I don't think it's going to be until maybe a network change or something like that. Now, maybe an influx of talent here and there over the next year or so. That could happen, but I don't think we'll necessarily see the changes that everybody wants right away.
Yeah, well, it never takes a thing. Even for NXT 2.0, they had like a 2-month build into that, and that whole thing was centered around the Ciampa and Breaker.
Yes.
Who they just can't magically call Bronson Steiner.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So, because and you got to wonder.
I admit I haven't watched a lot of wrestling, but I've followed a lot of the clips, and I like to go on Twitter, see what's going on. And...
I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't watch Death Before Dishonor last night, the ROH comeback show. But following on Twitter, you could pretty much get a if you follow the right people, you're pretty much watching.
I actually want
a baseball guy. I'm sure you follow the right baseball reporters.
Oh yeah,
you might as well be just at the game.
You don't need to watch close. TV.
Yeah, so
you could be really close.
I don't know if if you don't have a streaming aspect or whatever. So
I mean, I don't have cable, so I stream everything. So
exactly. Or if you don't, I do wonder. Some people have said, well, Vince will just consult on the side, and I'm like, yeah, but if that comes out,
that was brought up in the chat. I was going to say, could that be that? I just don't see that happening because you remember in TNA years ago they had Dixie Carter brought in Cornette, and his one thing is, I do not want to work with Russo, and like half the talent didn't want to work with Russo, yet she's consulting Russo on the side. Yeah. And then when everybody found out Russo's involved, everybody just lost their minds. Like,
because I mean, if that's the point, then why even say you're going to step away? Just
exactly.
say I'm going to be a consultant. The fact that he's legit saying I'm stepping away. Now he did say I'm a majority stakeholder, so I will still support them from the sidelines.
Yeah, but the fact that he's not going to be on camera and that he's not going to be mentioned.
Man in the boardroom. That's got to be Nick Khan in the boardroom. Triple H, signing contracts. So
yeah, he's got to be at home.
Now, creatively, it's going to be interesting. Paul Heyman seems to be the name that everybody's running to. And even
remember,
that, I don't know, Paul Heyman will be it right away.
I don't even think Paul wants to do it.
Yeah.
He's done it for how long?
That could be it too.
And he's done it how many times for how many different companies?
Exactly. Now, maybe he feels like he'll have more creative control with Stephanie. So maybe he won't have to run ideas as much by. So maybe he'll feel like a freedom to do that. But, it'll be interesting to see who does, because you got to think SummerSlam probably is not changing. SummerSlam's kind of
no, that's all set up, yeah.
But the Clash at the Castle in September, that could be, the new regime possibly.
Or you could see like the morphing into, because you just can't. I feel like you don't want to just a new page, like you.
Of course,
you don't read a book and all of a sudden you get to chapter 2, and chapter 2 starts out with Jimmy died.
We don't have the off season. If you had a month off, just think you could have every writer sit with Stephanie McMahon. Triple H could sit with talent. You could take time to sit back and be like, okay, where do we want to go? Which I still argue they need an off season. I know they don't do as much house shows, and you could tell their bodies are much better suited. Their nutrition's better, their workout is better. Even having the 2 days off or 1 day off for travel time is better than back in the day. But, a legit, like, especially if we did, like I thought after WrestleMania to like Money in the Bank, that June, July-ish, or till SummerSlam-ish, give them a summer off, or just do maybe house shows then or something, some light schedule, or the end of like Survivor Series till Royal Rumble, maybe January 1st is the day that everybody comes back.
Now, could you do a thing, because they've got so much talent, where you just kind of showcase, like you got like show A, not show A, show B.
All right, but SmackDown and Raw, you legit have those rosters. You give some of the, you have some guys have girls off this time of year and the other guys are off this, and then it pushes other people, because you're going to have to push those people. But,
or you can center around the belt, like, the main, like, let's just say the 2 belt split, because they're going to have to split at some point, where we'll call it the World Heavyweight Championship, is on Raw, and, from the time of SummerSlam to, whatever, or WrestleMania to whatever, is, we're going to focus more on that. And then you kind of creep in the US or Intercontinental and the tag teams. Like, you're telling me there's not enough talent to just constantly rotate in and out?
Yep. I want to, yeah. So now, I guess, so what do we, I guess, to put a bow on this, how will Vince be remembered? I hate saying it, act like he's dead, but
it's just like, there's going to be some people who remember only the bad. There's going to be the people who remember the beginning of what he started and how it ended. Yeah. Because that's just how we work in our minds, I believe. You remember the beginning, you remember the end.
Yeah.
I'll remember Vince as, I go back to this again, blowing up in the limo and then coming back to, basically right off Benoit.
Which they regret doing it, but that's a whole other.
That's the news. That's the news they had at the time. They didn't have all the info. Then once they got all the info, then it was, we're done.
Oops.
Yeah. But Vince as a whole, the guy that turned 3-4 generations of people to watch this product and to make fans all over the world.
Entity.
It's could you literally sum it up as, in a way, the American dream?
Yeah.
Where he comes up, I guess his background, his obviously Vince Sr. was it WWF back then?
Yeah. But he still had to buy it off him, is what I heard.
Again, his dad didn't give it to him. Vince came in and said, "I'm buying you out, old man." Yeah. And then he went and blew it up.
And now Stephanie's like, "Get out of the way, old man." No. I think you bring up a great point. I think he's going to some people remember him for just the bad and how it ended. And then you had the fans, like on Friday night, they were chanting, "Thank you, Vince."
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. You do wonder. I even hate to say it, like in a year or two, he gets that itch to show up on TV. There's going to be people bowing. It's because time heals wounds as well. We got to remember that. Heck, you might even get a couple months. I think he stays longer away than a couple months, but
I think
in a year or two, if he just shows up, maybe there's Raw 1500 or Raw 2000.
what WrestleMania are we coming up to technically? Because
this
I remember
will be 39.
39. So figure if they get to 40?
Yeah.
Or 50. Well, maybe 40 might be too soon.
Yeah, and 50 would be 10 years. So he'd be pushing 87, but he might look the same way.
I mean,
he might look out better.
His mom was what, 100 something?
Yeah, he might look better because guess what? Now he's got all this free time. He might be working out more than me and you have ever seen the inside of a gym. Not trying to disparage me or you, but
what's a gym?
I ain't seen a gym in a while, so.
Nah, I don't go.
This is me. This is my workout.
This isn't it's not alcohol. Don't worry. But this is my
double stuffed Oreos in my mouth. But,
oh man.
So yeah.
Quad stuffs.
It should, like we said, I think to sum it up. There, he's still going to get credit, but you do think this is a man. If you could have just kept it in your pants. Or you probably could have had any woman obviously he could have any woman he wanted because the one female talent turned him down. So maybe,
I guess the more thing is one, I mean, he's still married to Linda, right?
The wording is separated for a while.
Ooh, okay. So when did that separation for a while kick in?
That's the thing too.
Did it happen? Did it magically start when
a
month or two before all this started to come out? Or
I guess what's interesting is who's leaking all this. Is probably that
Shane.
Could be it's. You think Shane?
Yeah. What's he got to lose? He's already out of the company, isn't he?
And apparently him and Stephanie are not on good terms. So
wouldn't shock me.
I know, right? So that is we just spent 20-some minutes on just that alone. We probably could have done even more, but
I was gonna say they called me the loudmouth on our show for a reason. I don't shut up.
I mean, I assume we were going to spend a lot of time. I mean, we probably didn't even hit some of it, but the other thing. So I like to do news. I'm like I said, I did not watch this. I just kind of followed it, but we got to give props to Claudio Castagnoli, first world title ever. Are you a Claudio fan or former Cesaro fan, Quiggs?
I always thought that he was a great in-ring talent. I was going to ask you about this earlier. I figured we'd get to it, but we were talking about following along on Twitter and trying to catch up on everything. The Gresham news that seems to be coming out.
Yeah, so it was weird because I looked at the match time and there's only like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So that really was interesting to me.
And you're trying to build up this new brand. Well, not a new brand, but if AEW's going to try to make this a show.
Like a rebranding. Yeah.
But like if they were going to.
I figure Claudio would win because the Black Pool Club is way too over. He's way too over. Now, I did not know Grisham, so I guess we'll throw it out there. It's stated as him and Tony Khan were arguing about, contract or whatever. And he is on the outs. He wanted his release. He's probably gone. I haven't seen it. We don't, as usual, until something shows he's done. Now, he also said he wants to step away from wrestling. So I can't believe it went that deep. Because his wife is Jordan Grace, who's a big Impact wrestler.
Yeah, she just won the women's belt, right? Or is she still the digital media champion for them?
She is, I don't know. No, Brian Myers is. Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder's buddy. Okay. That thing has been passed around like the 24/7 title.
So that's their, okay.
That's kind of their, that might be, the guys hold a little bit longer, but that seems to be their social media. Yeah. Like, we're just going to have it on there. She won that at one point. But
anyway, going back to Gresham here, I was talking with one of my buddies who we used to do radio back out at IUP, and we both every now and then we would shoot on some wrestling stuff.
Yeah,
and he was thinking, Claudio was going to go over. I'm like, well, Gresham just sort of joined this stable with Tully Blanchard.
Oh,
it seems like they want to.
Well.
Oh, he's on the outs now too.
So
that whole group they just put together is done.
Well, now it's being rebranded as. So you have Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony. They're being built as the Embassy, who is somebody else. Yeah. I haven't followed it yet. Plus with them not having any real, TV or what yet. So it sounds like, I wonder if Tully maybe went up to bat for Gresham. Maybe he saw something in him.
Or could Gresham have, because remember he cut that promo of, nobody saw anything of me, and then Tully Blanchard came along and was going to put me on the map, and then all of a sudden, okay, well, you figure, in my mind at least, Gresham was going to go over probably dirty, because that way you don't.
He's a heel anyway.
He's going to be the heel anyway.
But he wants to.
It makes Claudio still over. Protected and over. Yeah. So maybe like if Brian Cage ran in and did the clock on the head with the title or something.
Yeah.
And Gresham,
maybe he didn't.
Claudio doesn't tap, but Claudio passes out or something.
Yes. Yeah.
And he retains that way, so that way you build up this new feud with a top guy in your hottest stable going into your new show.
And you could still kind of weave that in on Dynamite if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing too. I think with ROH, I don't know if they get a TV deal, but you think you'd have to do some sort of weekly.
Could they replace Dark with ROH?
And Dark is YouTube only, so that's fine. They have Dark on Monday, Elevation on Tuesday.
Oh, they've got two.
Yeah, Dynamite Wednesday and Rampage. So the first two are on YouTube only, because as you watch Dynamite, they'll say AEW Dark results, AEW Elevation results. They'll scroll it or whatever. I joked. I'm like, I never imagined in my wildest time of watching wrestling. I mean, there's legit wrestling to watch every night of the week.
It's almost like back in the day, you used to have Velocity and Sunday Night Heat.
Yep.
Almost in a way.
Yeah, it's kind of but I would think you want to keep ROH to itself, just because if you want this as a brand, almost like NXT, NXT doesn't really, it depends on the character.
It depends on the rating. So who goes
where
over.
they're going, Bailey, Charlotte, Sasha, and
Becky.
4 horsewomen. Becky. They always talk up their NXT accomplishments, but then you have Ciampa, and they're like, "Oh, this is a new person. we've never heard of him." Our Pete Dunne.
Well, yeah, you never heard of him because we rebranded him to one name.
Yes, our Butch, who is Pete Dunne,
was the
who
dumbest.
is
Let's just make him a stereotypical Brit guy who loves to fight.
It's interesting how they, now then again, with Triple H ahead of VP or of talent relations, will he try to cycle back to if we building these guys on, this is a whole, I feel like I'm weaving ahead, but if we're building them on NXT to come up to the main roster, then keep them the same person. Because there's casual, us fans, we watch NXT. Like I watched Bailey from the beginning. I was like, oh my God, I want her to do so good because I saw her upbringing. I don't want to think, okay, I saw her, change her up. But anyway, so
those Sasha Bailey matchups were some of the matches that actually got me started watching Brooklyn.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
60-minute Iron Woman match?
That was the
or is that the 2 out of 3?
No, this was just a regular match where Bailey won. That was when Sasha, Becky, and Charlotte were all moving up. So they all did a curtain call with Bailey. And then they had the Iron Woman match, which was a 30-minute match the next month. So
it was just...
that was when Sasha takes Izzy, who is Bailey's biggest fan, takes the headband, and that's something that's a no-no. But anyways, yeah.
But anyway, moving on.
Peak, at that time of NXT, that was that was like the high point.
Yeah.
But Dalton Castle, that was a name that was really hot, and then unfortunately COVID hit, and he's never they ROH shut down. So they just never could get him back. Yeah, because
he was on the rise, wasn't he? Right when everything hit. I think he was
talked about going to NXT for a little bit too. So he has the Boys, which are his two feathery fans, and they defeat the Righteous which is Vincent, Matt Taven, and somebody else for these 6-man titles, which is why I think it's kind of hard to have a 6-man title in AEW. Because if you have ROH with the trios titles, because even though AEW has so many 6-man teams, but I don't know if you can. I think that would be one you could do back and forth. Like FTR has ROH titles. I think if you had, Blackpool Combat Club, maybe Moxley, Yuta, and Claudio win it. I think that something down the road. But speaking of Wheeler Yuta, he pinned Garcia to retain. Now in the media scrum, we had Daniel Garcia call out Wheeler Yuta, so that might still continue. And at San Diego Comic-Con, you had Bryan Danielson say he's ready to come back, and he's cleared to wrestle. He's going to wrestle Daniel Garcia on Wednesday night, which is going to be a ridiculously good match. So
yeah, it's going to be one to watch.
Rush picked up the win. He pinned his brother, Dragon Lee, his younger brother.
Legit brother or wrestling brother?
I believe legit brother.
Okay.
Like Ray Phoenix and Pentagon Jr.
Yeah, so, those guys have been, but like just going off here, just again, talked with
brothers.
Mysterio earlier,
Yeah.
And the whole Lucha thing, which got me into wrestling to begin with. I saw those guys just come out, and I was like, what the
And Pentagon
hell?
Pentagon's good where he can, like in Lucha Underground, which Greg will bring up on Tubi.
Oh, it's still on? I thought they canned it.
It might. There's past episodes
because it used to be on Netflix. I remember
it's
that.
on YouTube. It's on Tubi, and it's like the first 3 seasons. Pentagon is ridiculous there. I mean, hardcore matches, lucha matches, straight up. I mean, he does everything there, which is why he was so talked about when AEW signed him. And
then Ray Phoenix comes along. It's like, just wait, I'm better.
Yeah, well, at least lucha wise, I think wrestling wise, I think it was just hard, but so we'll see. Rush is going to take on John Moxley Wednesday night as well because they're doing Fight for the Fallen. I think for the AEW Interim World Championship because Rush has won 10 in a row, so they kind of want to build him up. And he's with Andrade because they used to be a running tag team in New Japan.
Oh, New Japan.
New Japan. So there's some story there. Mercedes Martinez defeated Serena Deeb. I just keep getting to Mercedes. She just is so bland to me. There's nothing there.
But Serena, you got to keep some of the original Ring of Honor people as champion.
Yeah.
So usher in the new Ring of Honor.
Exactly. I mean, essentially,
you can't just have AEW sweep the board and like, oh yeah, here's this new thing. It'd be another invasion angle almost where they try to make WCW its own show, and then they did the one match with Buff and was it Booker T?
I think so, yeah.
And then the WWE fans just completely crapped all over it, which made them scrap an entire show.
Exactly. So, and the invasion was its own. There was a few mistakes there.
Yeah, but the point being, you don't want to have the AEW just run town on,
because it is interesting. If you look at the way they laid it out, they did have the title changes at the beginning, and then everybody retained at the end. Because Samoa Joe made Jay Lethal submit. Are you a fan of Samoa Joe? Have you watched much of his? Because he is. He is a killer.
Like I said, I watched wrestling in waves and TNA back in the day. With Styles, it was always Joe, Daniels, and Styles in the Triple Threat X Division matches that were just. I'm sitting there. I would sit there with my friends and just go, "What the f?"
Yeah, and of course, him being an X Division guy, like that was usually the lighter weight guys, right? That was
the X Division, it was kind of dumb because it wasn't a weight thing.
Oh, okay.
There were no special rules, so it wasn't like the pure title for ROH where there's certain rules.
Okay.
The X Division was just it was a division of mid carders essentially.
Just to try to maybe build them up or give them almost like a TV title.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So like the X Division was never a set, you've got to be X, Y, or Z.
I was always curious because
who do we have?
That X match.
Yeah,
it seemed like they always had the higher flyers in it, but then Samoa Joe ended up winning it once. So I was like, well, He's not, but man, he can go. It is kind of sad in WWE. He should have got a title run.
There's a lot of guys who should have gotten title runs.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just look at the AEW jumps. Mira should have won more. Obviously, Claudio should have won some things.
Yeah.
Joe, had he stayed healthy.
I mean, Joe should have beat Brock one of those times, I think, because there was.
I don't know about Brock. Because Brock's just Brock.
I mean,
as Pat McAfee said on that interview, like he is the alpha male of our species.
True. Yeah, there was just a good summer of Joe where he was standing up to Brock and Braun and Roman. I mean, there was some good. I think even if you gave him a month, I think I would have been, that would have been like, okay.
It would have been believable.
Yeah. Like you give him the title, he'd lose it the next month. I would have been like, well, he can mark that off his, his wish list,
Yeah.
His bucket list. But, well, speaking of probably underused, FTR, talk about guys that they've hit the stride. Like, I don't think I've seen a tag team hit a stride like this. And they defeated the Briscoes 2-1 in a best 2 out of 3 falls. I've not got to watch this yet, but I want to try to find it somewhere because I've heard it. It was all over the place. It was
is there a Briscoes match that isn't all over the place?
True.
I mean,
I have signed to ROH.
Yep, which is great because I've always.
I want to see them on AEW one time just to kind of see what they would do on, how they position themselves on network TV because we've never seen them on, like.
I feel like that would be a thing where you could have like the Bucks, kind of do something of, where the best that AEW has to offer, whatever. Then like the Briscoes walk out, like, oh yeah, by the way.
Or do we do, FTR? Technically, this is FTR Briscoes 2. Do we get a third match, down the road, even though the FTR's won both?
I was gonna say
I can only see it if you give the Briscoes the titles back.
Or could the Briscoes go win like the AAA titles or something?
Well, they'd have to beat FTR.
Yeah, but that would set up a third.
Because FTR has AAA, New Japan, and AEW. ROH, AAA, and New Japan.
Because AEW at least lets its guys go do other things. Like you had Omega do the belt collector thing. You've currently got FTR being loaned out to everybody else. So it's, they're just doing business together. So they've got that model down. So, it's not necessarily a bad thing to, if the Briscoes get loaned out to AAA or maybe New Japan for a little bit, they win those tag titles, which keeps FTR stateside for a little bit to do a little more AEW stuff.
And with New Japan trying to go stateside now, you do think that might be easier to work with. Because I would love to see Jay White do more because I think he'd really transition well.
Yeah, he kind of just had that one-off there.
Yeah, because they were doing the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, which happened at the end of June. So they had guys like that. They had Will Ospreay, who looked like he, could fit in well. Tanahashi, Okada. You still have some matches there that you could throw out. So that was my and yours Death Before Dishonor recap. I'm really going to be excited to see Claudio. I think they'll give a nice celebration for Claudio on Wednesday night. Oh, sorry. At the end of this event, we did have FTR standing in the ring. Claudio and Wheeler Yuta showed up on the ramp, staring at FTR. So who knows? They could get even more titles.
So I was going to say, are they going to just morph them into being
the everything title? They'll be like the Triple H picture where he just has all the belts.
Yeah, so. or Kurt Angle Angle and Joe had those series in TNA where it was Kurt Angle is the TNA tag. Wait, how does this happen? Yeah. One guy is the tag team
right champion. Now in NXT, you did have Cora Jade trash the NXT Women's title, tag team title. So Roxanne technically is the only champion. But
now do you think they're gonna
I guess we'll get into that in our recap.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
let's take a quick commercial break because we have been yapping for a while.
I don't shut up. I warned you.
No, you're fine. I talk a lot too, as you can tell. So we will get back. So I'll do the behind the scenes quigs, so you know. So we'll get Raw talk, NXT talk, SmackDown talk. We'll do another break. We'll get AEW talk, and then wrap up the show.
Sounds good.
So we're producing this on the fly, as we can tell. So Rogue Energy, though, we need some energy because we've both been yapping about every which thing happening this week. Because this might be the busiest, or this might have been the weirdest Friday I've ever had in a while, wrestling news-wise. So we knew we had to talk a lot about that. But let's get some Rogue Energy talk, and then we'll get right into some Raw talk and kind of bounce around things there. All right, so some Raw talk. As you can see, we have all your lovely results there. Titus O'Neil welcomed everyone to Raw Quigs, and I hated this because it was such a PR sham, and I hated it for Titus. Like, he didn't deserve to put out this. We're very we're
all inclusive. We're accepting the
and like, this should have been Stephanie McMahon. This should have been freaking Vince before everything came on him.
I don't know if I would have had Vince do that.
I mean,
Vince stays off of TV.
Well, he was on TV right after everything came out.
And I'm sure everybody was screaming at him, "Don't do this! Don't do this! For the love of God, don't do this!"
I didn't like this for Titus O'Neil. I didn't think it's fair to him. Not that he's a company guy. I mean, other than the time that he, tried to hug Vince and he got suspended for 30 days, but whatever. That probably should have been a line that he's like, okay, F this. It was just a weird welcome, I thought. So did you catch Raw?
No, I didn't get to catch it, but it doesn't shock me they would put Titus in that situation just because he seems to be the guy they always send out. Yeah, like you always see the clips for the bullying thing.
Yes.
And he's front and center for that, or if it's getting kids active,
Yes.
In a
Which
way,
is fine.
It's great.
But this welcome speech was just way
forced.
Forced. Yes, that's the big word, forced. And like I said, it should have been Stephanie. If you're going to have this type of speech, just have her say that. But so essentially, we're building towards SummerSlam. Me and Greg have talked about this. We're probably going to get a multi-woman match. It's probably going to be Bianca Belair, the current Raw Women's Champion, Becky Lynch, and Carmella. Even though Bianca did pin Carmella, I still wonder if Carmella gets involved somehow. But essentially right now, I think it's being listed as Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch. So I think that'll be that will cycle back to last year, where Becky beat Bianca in 26 seconds when she made a return after about a year. So
that was a little questionable.
I'm probably having Bianca beat Becky in 26 seconds. As much as I love Becky.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't understand how it's just, you're telling me we have nobody else besides Bianca and Becky who can do anything in the main title picture.
Yeah.
Or anything here, like, I guess Rhea Ripley's out, I guess.
She said brain and teeth in, like, I don't know if there was some, connection. I saw a
photo where she was wearing a heart monitor.
And then she had a heart monitor one day, and I swear her hair looks really, like, I don't know if they had to do something to her head. Like, I mean, her hair looks a lot shorter too.
Yeah.
So she's always had a weird, kind of shave cut. And then let's bring up the other. So we had a 6-woman tag match, it was Alexa, Asuka, Dana Brooke defeating Doudrop, Nikki Ash, and Tamina. Every single woman got the 24/7 title in this match because, that's defended whenever. Dana Brooke ends up getting it for good. You could throw Alexa there.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Alexa looks like she is on her way out. And
what more is there for her to do?
I think she wants to go into the acting side. I think she wants to see if she could get some TV roles, or I don't know if she could do, I don't know if I see her translating to movies.
Sasha got TV roles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think Alexa she wants to try something else. She just got married. She goes see
start a family.
Ryan Cabrera, her, I don't know if you were an old MTV watcher back in the day, Quigs, but he is, kind of that boy band. He must be really popular, but I don't remember him getting as popular as Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and 98 Degrees, but he was right there.
Yeah.
So his crowds look pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
O-Town. He's got his audience locked in, and he knows who to cater to. So can't fault him for that.
So yeah, that's kind of the women's story. KO welcome Riddle on his show. Are you a fan of Riddle? Have you seen much of Riddle?
I'm a fan of Matt Riddle. Yes,
Matt Riddle. He's trained really well. He's got booked well since NXT.
Yeah, and pairing him with Orton too, I think helped ease him.
I didn't know if that would work, but I really didn't think that would work.
But the fact that they kind of made it work, and I guess Orton's one of those guys backstage too that can be like real hit or miss, and just anytime he's talked,
if he's in it, he probably should be the greatest. Right? Yeah. Honestly, he probably should be better than what he is. You know what?
Yeah, but he's admitted to himself too, coming up, he was, a stupid kid.
Oh yeah. Well, he went AWOL for the Army or Marines.
Yeah. Well, I'm just talking the WWE time. They gave him.
But I just feel like mentally, maybe he never knew what he wanted. You know what I'm like?
Maybe, but I wish the Riddle thing with Reigns would have turned out differently. But
yeah, that's true. I think that was a test for him just to see if he could hold his own.
Oh, he's a main event guy.
And he passed it, but I don't know if they're ready for that yet. This time next year, if we still see him kind of in the same position, that I think I would be like, okay.
Now, if we want to talk about if Vince is going to have creative control, Riddle could be one of those guys to watch where if, start to see this new transition, maybe he's one of the guy.
Yes.
Maybe more KO, maybe Finn Balor finally starts to get pushed back again.
I would think some of the old
NXT guys.
Yes, and I hope that there's not a Brock Lesnar is probably the last of the relying on that type of guy. Edge is kind of that taker now, where he's used when he needs to be. But
I don't get him getting kicked out of that group though.
Well, the word was he didn't care for where they were going to go direction wise, and I think they needed a face. With Cody going down, they didn't really have a face that they could throw, right? I think you could.
Is Edge back yet?
So there's been clips of
oh yeah. Where it's the metal and it's the flame.
It's Latino Heat has been. There's a license plate. There's Hardy Boys armbands, Dudley Boys glasses. So that is his return. I think with the whole Rey Mysterio 20th celebration year, I think he gets hurt tomorrow night. And I think Edge comes out to save him. And I think it's Edge and Dominique versus Finn Balor and Damian
That would be cool.
Priest.
Now, would Edge come back to the Rob Zombie song?
Oh, I don't know, whatever song he.
That was "Old Never Gonna Stop Me" by Rob Zombie.
Okay.
You mentioned Greg probably going to that Rob Zombie concert earlier. I was going to come in and say, I saw Rob Zombie once. It was a great show.
He was here a couple nights ago. Apparently, some of the tour buses were late, so I don't know if a couple of the bands couldn't get started. But anyway, so speaking of, because we did have Damian Priest defeat Rey Mysterio, where they wanted Dominic to join them. So Dominic said, "Yeah, I'll join you," and it didn't matter. They beat down Dominic anyway. So
yeah. The fault.
And I think later on in the night, we saw the vignette of Edge, not saying it's Edge, but that aired again saying I'm coming. So I would assume, especially Madison Square Garden, because
That would be big.
That's where we've had the TLC, I believe it was, and then Seth and Edge put on a really strong match on SmackDown a year ago at Madison Square Garden. So I think that's where we see that. Seth Rollins defeated Ezekiel, who is Elias, which.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he's not.
No, no, it's
it's
his twin brother.
What's your thoughts on Seth Rollins? Because real quick, he's lost a lot this year, or Quiggs, but like he's put on some damn good matches, and I'm like, I almost want to give him one of the wrestlers of the year just for what he's been doing.
Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, he's a workhorse.
Yes,
but I feel like maybe it's just me here, but does he need like freshened up a little bit, or like he's putting on good matches, but it just seems like he's not in like a defined role.
Him and I what's weird?
Or are they just doing the him and Becky like are the holier than thou like we?
Well, I would almost put them together.
It just do it like
we put them together as faces, and people hated it.
And just play into it type of thing.
Yeah, but I think, and also at the time they went against Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin. I mean, nobody would have been positioned well against that.
Well, hey, we all remember that Lacey Evans Ric Flair thing that lasted all of 3 weeks.
And then she got pregnant.
Yeah.
Maybe that's Ric Flair's baby. No. maybe that's Vince. No.
his last.
Is that Elon Musk's baby?
It could be. Ric Flair's last match.
We have that coming up next weekend.
I was going to say,
him and Andrade versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lee, which.
Wait, it's a tag team match.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. What's funny is they have Jeff Jarrett positioned as like this, all-out face on
which is hysterical
SmackDown, but then he beat down Ric Flair in a parking lot and bloodied him up. So whatever.
I mean, everybody beats up Ric Flair, and Ric Flair just puts on the Crimson Mask.
Yes, he probably just walks in it. His wife probably just walks by him and just starts bleeding.
One of the favorite gifts I always love to send to my friends is where he rips off the bench. Like, you see these stitches? You did this to me, Triple H.
You can't fire me on fire. So
nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Oh, Dodgeball. One of my favorite movies. Underrated, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. For another podcast.
And that's whenever we finally do our Anything Goes podcast, which, as you've seen in the Facebook message, that tends to be that. So I can only imagine if we all got on here, I think it would just be chaos for a few minutes. So we had Angelo Dawkins defeat Almost by DQ because MVP got involved, and he had to fight in his suit. The Usos were out there. I brought this up. I kind of like Almost being positioned with the Usos because they're trying to make Almost a thing. But man, I don't know, big men with his type of size he just lumbers around the ring. I mean, he can't do much.
I mean, at least he can do more than Khali.
Yeah, that's true. He does look better than Khali. I will give him that.
I mean, because we've seen time and time again.
Khali never looked good.
And AEW's got this problem too, where they've got that big guy who can't do anything.
Santo? Yeah,
I don't even know his name.
Former basketball player on the Mavs.
So I mean,
he looks so out of place.
Like, how many times have we seen the big guys like who can barely move, and the teams always try to get the big guy for reinforcements? It's like,
I mean, it makes me think back to like Andre coming out to like WrestleMania 7 or 8 with like his crutches. He had those two.
Yeah. Because he couldn't walk.
He just was so bad. Like, I mean, now, Andre in his glory days, he could do a few things. Now, Almost an AJ Styles, like that worked.
But again, he was AJ's henchman monster guy.
And he could he could work when he needed to.
When it's done right, it's good. But when you force it, it's just kind of Like, how many times have we seen Hulk Hogan take on the Evil Foreigner? Or any American versus the Evil Foreigner?
Yeah.
It's just like, how many times do we need to see the same record play? Yeah. Hear the same record play.
And with the Street Profits and the Usos, I think you got to give the Street Profits the titles this time.
Eventually, that's all got to crumble. You think?
even if, because I think you could still keep the Usos strong with Roman still holding the gold. I think you could still kind of have that playing out. But
would you use now if the Street Profits challenge for the titles? Are they going for both the titles, or are they going for?
So SummerSlam is set for winner takes all, so they get all the titles. That's where Jeff Jarrett is going to be the special referee. I believe Sami Zayn still gets involved because Jeff Jarrett makes no sense at all. Like,
yeah, like why we have Jeff Jarrett in here?
People are like, well, it's Nashville. I'm like, okay.
Woo.
Like, I don't think of Jeff Jarrett in Nashville. Like
I mean, he's just going to hit somebody in the head with a guitar. It's just a matter of, who's it going to be.
I think there's some way that they sneak Sami Zayn as a special enforcement.
And he gets whopped with the guitar.
And then Jeff Jarrett has to count. Because the Street Profits, the shoulder was up on one of the Street Profits in the last match.
Oh, yeah, I did see that, yeah.
So, and then I think they did it again. So I think you got to give the Street Profits the title at SummerSlam.
Or either that or you keep the stables together and you just dirty win. Somehow it's a dirty win.
Yeah. But how many times can you keep doing that to the Street Profits?
Probably one more.
Maybe one more?
Maybe one more.
I guess it's free. Well, we do have, so we'll have Clash at the Castle in September. I don't think you want to give the Street Profits a win there because, no offense, I don't know if that crowd would really care.
Yeah, and SummerSlam is like it's the second biggest one that they'll do.
And then you'll have Extreme Rules later on in September, I believe, which is in Philadelphia.
Of course it is.
Maybe you could do, maybe you could do some TLC match where they win there, but that's still a long time. I mean, this has been playing out for a while.
Yeah.
So, I think even if you give it to them now and then maybe the Usos win it back. I know that's hot potatoing, but with the way that these teams have really battled back and forth, and back in the day, the tag team titles kind of went in around. I mean, I feel like Edge and Christian would have it for a few months. The Dudleys would get it. Bradshaw and Farouk would get it.
Yeah, but they also had teams.
That's true.
Like you're also listing very credible teams with Hardy's, APA, Guerreros.
That's true.
Edge and Christian, Hardy, or I think I already said Hardy's 3D.
That's true. I mean,
so you can, and all of those teams you could argue at any given point are, some of the best tag. You say, name the best 6 tag teams you can think of ever.
Yeah. And those really probably 3 or 4 from that era.
Yeah.
So AJ Styles, I don't know what they're doing with him.
Nothing.
But it's close. It's funny. He's getting close to having more matches in WWE than TNA.
Which is crazy.
I know. Who would have thought? Like,
are they counting the house shows in that?
Maybe, I don't. But he's been 6 years. So I mean, in that first couple of years, I mean, he did a lot of damn matches. I mean, so he slowed down. Like this is his swan song.
I mean, I think he said before that he's going to end his career in WWE, and he'd be. It would be nice to see him go to TNA. I'm sure he'll be in the TNA Hall of Fame at some point. Impact. I'm always going to call it TNA.
Whatever I already brought up the Alexa Bliss, Asuka. This turned into 24/7 stuff. Dana Brooke wins it. And then, of course, we ended with The Miz and Logan Paul. And Logan Paul, wanted The Miz to accept a challenge, which he did. Next week, we will get Logan Paul's show. That's that. That's Raw.
And Logan Paul just goes to show that they have not made any talent out of anybody that they have worth a while. So we got to go get the name.
Logan Paul and Pat McAfee signed the multi-year deals.
Well, Pat McAfee's at least good.
That's true, yeah.
Now,
Logan Paul I will give Logan Paul credit. He looked pretty darn good at Mania.
Oh, he did look good, but McAfee.
He looked blown up too, but.
I mean, I watch Pat McAfee show. I'm a big Pat McAfee fan, so once
McAfee's in it for the right reasons, though. I don't know what Logan Paul like. Maybe this is like the boxing thing where it's like, I'll just do it, and I feel like Logan Paul is putting himself into it, but multi-year deal, like
let's see.
So, anyways, NXT. Speaking of guys, I have no idea what they're doing with Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, they just build him up to like shoot him back down.
there, and I think the Joe Gacy stuff, he's probably due for a character change. So
Didn't that start out as like Uber PC guy, then it became like a weird
exactly,
cult,
yes. Now I don't know if they know what they want to do with it.
and then
Because
they had that big dude, that bald guy who was like a
Harlan, which is
monster,
Parker Bordeaux,
and then they
they
cut
let
him.
go, and he's already in AEW.
Of course,
He's done a dark match. So he grew out the hair a little bit. Um, I, he was a Brock Lesnar lookalike, so I think people always were going to give that to him.
But again, that's not a bad comparison if I'm that dude. Oh, you're going to
It's
compare
not,
me to an absolute monster of a human being? Okay.
But then that's all. But then if that's all you get compared to, how do you, you have to eventually prove yourself. So JD McDonough is actually Jordan Devlin repackaged, which is so crazy to me because Jordan Devlin was just on NXT
UK,
and he was on here with Roderick Strong, where they like had the North American and the cruiserweight title. So anyway,
it's so weird.
So now they've repackaged him as this kind of arrogant, European guy.
Stereotypical.
Yes. So Cora Jade came out there and threw the women's tag team title belt in the trash.
Any idea where they're going with that? Because that seems kind of,
I mean, it's going to be her
sudden.
Roxanne, obviously.
So what was the point of the other two dropping the titles?
That's the question.
you couldn't have just had them lose and then Cora Jade snap on her.
I think that would be better. I don't know if you saw it as well, but the skateboard that Cora Jade has,
broke as she
snapped even before she. So that was kind of a botch. But anyways,
but I mean,
I get it though. I mean,
is Matthew gonna do a table spot for that one too?
Probably.
If you watch Botchamania, yeah.
I will say Roxanne probably looks better than Cora Jade. So I think there's probably a little bit of beef with Cora Jade, thinking because she was just pushed. She was going to be pushed as the next like up and coming younger, AJ Lee Paige type.
Yeah, and she's the one that beat Natalia, right? Because then they should.
Aaliyah beat Natalia in 3 minutes and 17 seconds.
No, I thought Natalia went to NXT for like a couple of weeks.
And Cora Jade won War Games.
Okay.
So they've had Cora Jade built, but Roxanne just looks more comfortable in the ring. And, they gave Roxanne the breakout win, which she got the title match against Mandy Rose, which is where Cora Jade turned on her. So, but you had Cora Jade playing the whole emo, whiny girl, which is probably what they're going to do. But anyway, so Roderick Strong defeated Damon Kemp, but Tony D'Angelo and his family attacked the Creed brothers, which is part of Diamond Mine.
Mm-hmm.
But this is leading. Roderick Strong was on his way out. That me and Greg have like that writing, like that ship is
like ever since like they broke up the Undisputed Era. Like it always seemed like they didn't know what to do with Roderick Strong.
I was surprised Roderick Strong stuck around.
They probably paid him well.
I think his contract was always longer because he was before Undisputed Era, if you remember.
Like that was probably 6 months or a year.
Him and Pete Dunne wrestled Bobby Fish and maybe Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong turned on Pete Dunne to join Undisputed Era. So that's kind of where they got that. But Creed brothers look awesome. I mean,
they look good.
They've really held their own. Ivy Nile, I think, looks pretty solid. I think there's just other women in front of her that they can't give Ivy Nile the push yet.
In time, but at least with the Creed brothers, like I'm trying to remember how many takeovers ago it was. Like they were in a position to win the belts, and everybody thought they were going to do it then.
Yeah. In your house, I think they did win.
Like they teased them like 2 or 3 times before.
They really need to win sooner rather than later. Like it was just too. But I think Damon Kemp will be fine to step into the Roderick Strong, because you got to think Roderick Strong's wife Marina is in AEW, so it just makes sense to go there. After.
Yeah. But how many I've had this argument too with my other buddy, how many ex-WWE guys can you bring into the same company?
Well, and with Triple H, you wonder how many of those AEW guys might venture back if they know Triple H's talent relations.
I don't think any of them.
Yeah.
I think it's just that maybe that bridge is just maybe burned beyond repair.
That could be, yeah.
But I mean, if you're like Adam Cole or any,
I can see Adam Cole staying. I don't even know who. Like, that's the thing. It doesn't, like Andrade. Maybe if Charlotte's gonna stick, life her.
I mean, if Charlotte leaves WWE, then you really got to look into what the heck just happened.
And yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen defeated Pretty Deadly to retain their NXT UK. So let's just give two Cowboys the NXT UK
Why not
titles. So Braun Breaker called out JD. So we're going to get Braun and JD at some point. I think Braun is going to be a name to watch.
He was. I mean, for the first time you saw him, you knew it was like they always say, "Do you have it?"
Yeah,
he's got it. And his name is stupid. He
won against Ziggler on Raw, and the people went crazy for it. So I think in a year or so, maybe even sooner.
I just don't understand why they can't call him Bronson Steiner. Like he's a clone of Rick.
Yeah.
Like
it's just that whole trademark thing. I mean, at least not taking his name. If he leaves, he can go back to that too. If that's kind of. I mean.
Or just call him Braun Steiner.
That's true. Yeah.
Don't even call him Bronson.
Yeah, that's true.
Whatever.
Axum defeated Dante Chen. Axum is formerly a kid from NXT UK, so we'll see how he does.
Isn't there a few things going on with him where
they showed Razor Wing, who's some other Lucha Libre that looks exactly like a ripoff,
and then
Axum is a ripoff of him. Sorry.
And then there was, I think it was like Deonna Purrazzo or whatever, like pitched that idea of like that character,
like a broy, like a heady person.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's any truth to that, but it's just like
what surprised me because with Deonna Virtuosa kind of makes you think of that, like smarter than everybody and knows how to
calculate it kind of.
Yeah. And speaking of no charisma ever, Zoe Stark won the 20 women battle royal to earn an NXT women's title.
They had 20 women?
Yeah, they did. they scrounged up some women that they found. But
you just joined the Performance Center last week. You're in a match.
Yeah, you're in a match. Zoe Stark Quiggs is
bland.
I have more charisma on this show than her.
Is she a blonde hair, blue eyed?
She has blonde hair, yeah, curly. Yeah. She's no Nikita Lyons, though.
Well, I mean, she got, but Nikita's stuff at least looks,
she's got some
real.
Assets. Yeah,
well, not even talking about that. I mean, like just her work is, her work in ring just seems good.
Yeah. Well, they're going to push her because of some of that.
Yeah, she got hurt too, didn't she?
She did, but she's back now.
Okay, so maybe they're just trying to step it up a little bit.
I think she'll probably wait. I kind of wonder if she's maybe next in line, but Mandy Rose though, you talk about a 360, like Mandy Rose being paired with Otis to now, like it's crazy to see the transformation. Like I guess that shows all you need is that push to just and change up your look and change up your persona.
Look, get a new faction.
Look at Bailey. Bailey cuts her hair short. She's off and running. So
when's she coming back?
That's a great question.
Is she cleared?
I think she's been cleared for a while.
Since the Alexa thing, we just don't know what we're going to do with her.
I'm hoping in Nashville. I hope I'm at SummerSlam.
That would be good.
Come out after Bianca or come out after Liv.
So do you think that could be? Well, at least with Liv, the title reign is just beginning, so you can at least throw a few more challenges there. But
you could throw some heels.
So with Bianca, you could probably, because she'll be set up as the ultimate babyface on Raw.
Yeah.
You bring in a returning heel Bailey, like she comes in, everybody cheers, and she just slaps her.
Yeah, and we did do Bianca and Bailey before, so I think to freshen it up, I'd probably have her go after Liv.
Okay.
especially if you're not going to turn Ronda heel. Like I've talked about with
Is-
Liv and Ronda, I think you have them, do the handshake at the end, and then Ronda just takes her out. Yeah,
Just
yeah.
smacks her.
Ronda needs to go heel. Like Ronda as a face does not work at all.
Though because in the last run, basically she turned heel just because nobody accepted her as the babyface.
In the
Have people been accepting her as the babyface now? Or is it still kind of 50-50?
I think it's 50-50. She just can't talk. Her promo skills are just not there.
Forced.
Or just give her Heyman. Like Heyman, like her and Heyman would get her to where they want her to be.
Oh yeah.
And I know it sounds like Brock and Heyman, but if you know that is a weakness, I mean that's what Heyman's good at.
Yeah.
He can help with your weakness.
And here's the thing too, we were just joking about the Cowboys earlier. Like, who would have thought Cowboy Brock would be the best Brock Lesnar we've seen? Yeah. Cowboy Brock is great.
That over, yeah, by himself. Like, no, this isn't Heyman.
Brock can talk again. What?
Yeah.
Brock talked.
Ronda desperately needs to go heel again, and especially if you want to build Liv as a baby. Really give her that pure baby. I mean, I think people want Liv, but I'm scared she's going to lose it soon because it's Liv.
Yeah.
I mean, Liv is the first person to beat Ronda outside the 4 Horsewomen. So that's saying something.
Yeah.
But speaking of Liv, there's SmackDown stuff. So, of course, we had to have Stephanie McMahon out there kind of,
jump on the landmine.
And we got a thank you, Vince chant out of it, which, whatever. But that was that. That was that.
And that was that. But it's like it's one of those things. If you kind of look back on it, this isn't the ending anybody wanted for Vince.
That's true.
If the accusations are real, and it's kind of leaning that way from what it seems like, absolutely horrible human being.
Yeah.
But nobody wanted to see, the guy get taken out this way. Yeah. I think leaving on his own accord, being like, it's time for me to pass.
Well, it's like an athlete. An athlete doesn't want to go out and get injured. Like Daniel Bryan didn't want to retire with, neck surgery or Edge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, or like, I'm just trying to think of those two, like, or something like Barry Sanders, like goes out, after 8 years, like, or that, if that, we're getting close to home, Greg, or Quigs, Andrew Luck. Anyways, that's all I'll leave there. But yeah, so I don't want to stay up on that landmine. You never want to go out for reasons other than your own.
Yeah.
It's like we are musicians, like, you want to go out kind of on top.
Kiss in their 30-second farewell tour.
You don't want to Kiss, where I saw them at the Indiana State Fair.
I saw them at Hershey Park.
State Fair. That tells you right there. And they were great, but it's just funny to think like the State Fair. Like, yeah.
Kiss rocks the State Fair.
Right next to the no. Even though I will give our State Fair, they do get bigger bands, here and there.
There's we're in Pennsylvania here. They've got the York Fair, which is the oldest run in the country.
Okay.
They've got Gabriel Iglesias coming in.
Oh,
they've got Journey. They've got they've got a couple other like 70s, 80s bigger names coming in, but same deal. Like
or like Rolling Stones, like they'll roll out there in their wheelchairs until they can, I would think. So your dog is in agreement with us, so good.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
You're good.
I'm an audio guy. Like any kind of like ticking in audio just annoys me, and now you can hear the dog barking at somebody probably walking across the street because they're such an imminent threat.
There you go. The Street Profits saved Madcap Moss, which turned into a tag match, 6-man tag match. The Street Profits and the Usos, the Street Profits and Madcap defeated the Usos at Theory. When Theory just went to town on Madcap with the briefcase, and Brock Lesnar was back at the end, and he got rid of Theory. So, I don't know what they're doing with Theory.
Do you think it's one of those things where the guys that were in that ladder match, they didn't want to like they kind of wanted to protect him a little bit because anybody they feed to Reigns is going to get smacked. And this is a way that you can put it on. You can have Theory win as the Joker and then have Brock Lesnar come and be like, I'm just going to take this from you now and just beat him up and take it.
Just to prove that Theory's not going to cash in on him.
Yeah. And that also, too.
I'm hearing Theory might lose the cash in anyway.
Yeah, it gives you that excuse of, protecting the other guys that were in that match.
Like nobody could do it.
Yeah, like what did you expect Drew McIntyre to, just lay down to Brock Lesnar?
Because I would have wanted Seth to win that. I really wanted Seth to win that briefcase because I think Seth needed that. I mean, he's put in a lot of work and a lot of losses. I mean, he gets beat by Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania and rode his return match. Like,
Well, I mean, you knew that was going to happen, but for the next three,
true. And then he keeps losing. So, he picks up his first singles win on like a random Raw.
Yeah.
Like in a while. So, anyways, but Theory showing up made sense in a way because of the Vince factor and Vince trying to push him and all that. But I think Theory is not going to cash in on Reigns or Lesnar and win. Now, if Drew gets the titles, he could cash in and win. Or anybody but Reigns or Lesnar, pretty much so.
But I think the plan here is Theory's going to lose it to somebody.
Plus we have the Ziggler factor. We don't know what the hell Ziggler's doing.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I mean, could you have Ziggler get the cash in, and then he eats the L, which doesn't really hurt him because.
But he always eats the L.
It's Ziggler, so yeah.
As Kevin Owens once said, I kind of won it that one time 10 years ago, and I had my thing, and then I've been trying to get back for 10 years ever since. You had your thing, you're done. Move on.
Yep. So,
you Shawn Michaels wannabe.
Yeah. Some other things. Ludwig Kaiser, with Gunther's help, defeated Shinsuke, but then ate a big old chop anyway. So I either don't know if Ludwig is on his way out, or because obviously you want to build up Gunther, Walter, aka Walter, because I really believe I like the way that Gunther has changed his body. I mean, he looks ridiculous.
Oh, he got jacked.
So I think they're happy with that. And I mean, he's a killer. I mean, just look at him. So
yeah, I mean, he was a killer before, but now he looks the part.
Sometimes, like him and Drew probably should be headlining Cardiff, like because that's a it's a whale show, European show, but so anyways,
that would be.
But I feel like Ludwig might be on the way out. So,
or do you think it's just kind of
are you building Gunther as like I'm in control of everything?
Yeah, like the stable leader, because they'd had Imperium back down in NXT. The one guy got left behind and repackaged.
Giovanni.
Yeah. Vinci got left back, which I love that last ride sit out powerbomb finish. Yeah. That's just cool. But maybe they try to build. It's just kind of like this, the bully. He's the big bully. Okay. And
I just don't know. I don't know if Ludwig will go over as a baby face.
I mean, unless they do it in a way where Wardlow screwed over MJF.
That could be, yeah.
Where they kind of play the thing where he's just beaten up for so long, and then at the big point where he can come in and hit him in the head with a belt. Yeah, where's the key? Whoops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could be something like that. So. Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey went face to face. I think it's very telling. It was backstage. They did not do it in the ring.
Yeah, it's probably for the best.
So that was that. Happy Corbin, shorts. Happy Corbin, by the way, because I feel like I've never seen Happy Corbin with shorts on. He ambushed Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee called him a little bitch in the ring afterwards. So happy ass Corbin. Bum-ass Corbin, sorry. I think that's going to be a pretty interesting match to watch at SummerSlam.
It'll be interesting for sure.
Will you watch SummerSlam? Do you have Peacock?
Yep, we've got the fiance has Peacock for Parks and Recs and The Office. So, yep. And I used to have the network, but then when everything started coming there, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get rid of that.
And network's gone, of course, which I hate because.
Well, the network used to be $9.99, but once they did the thing with Peacock, you could get the lowest Peacock package for like $6.99, and it would still include the network. So it was like
you get all the pay-per-views.
I get everything for less.
Yeah, and now the network was awesome because of the interface. Like on WWE on Peacock, I feel like
it's horrible.
I don't even try to find any. Like I just watch the
SmackDown season 18, episode 37.
Yeah, like I have no clue what it is. So
Viking and of course Raiders, they edited out all the good ECW stuff.
Oh yeah. But and there's some good ECW back in the day.
Oh yeah.
What really sucks is taking out the music, which I understand because of copyright and licensing.
Well, ECW stole all the music anyway.
Any metal song or any hardcore song in the 90s.
Well,
like
you heard how they got rid of that, or they got around that loophole, right?
No, how did they do that?
You can only claim copyright if it's pumped into the feed.
Oh, okay.
So Heyman pumped it through the PA. Okay. Which the PA was then the mics caught the PA noise.
Gotcha.
So it was background noise.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's why all of those things were, you heard Enter Sandman, but it was so muffled and distorted.
More human than human, and a lot of them had
none of that music was ever pumped. Yeah, or for RVD. Yeah. None of it was ever pumped into the TV feed. It was pumped into the PA, which the feed picked up.
And then on ECW, like now, it's just like generic rock one. Viking Raiders defeated Jinder Mahal and Shanky by countout. We're going to get the Viking Raiders. Which one are you asking? Shanky?
Yeah, who's Shaky?
He is one of Jinder Mahal's
Oh, that's the dancing dude.
Dancing skyscraper Shanky. He's probably going to be kicked out from Jinder Mahal soon.
Former WWE champion Jinder Mahal. That brings back bad.
Shinsuke should have beat him. Anyways, Shinsuke and him had 3 straight matches. SummerSlam, Night of Champions, and there was one more. Shinsuke should have beat him one of those times. But, Shinsuke should have been AJ.
At least they're using the
WrestleMania 34. So.
Well, at least they're using the Viking Raiders, at least properly now.
Yeah, I like the count out wins like that. That's kind of a cool it's like Big E when he had the 5 count. It's something different.
Yeah. So, but you don't want to rely on it all the time.
Yeah, I mean that is the down and you wonder what kind of gimmick match we'll get for whenever the Viking Raiders and New Day finally.
Oh, it'll be like Viking War match where it's spears and shields and.
Well, we're getting that with. Funny you bring that up because we're getting a Donnybrook match for Sheamus and Drew where shillelaghs are involved.
Of course, it's a show. Are we going to get a
no swords?
Finley? We're going to get Finley coming in with his shillelagh.
No swords are involved though, so Drew cannot use Angela, but this will determine the number 1 contender for Clash at the Castle. Okay. So
it's true.
I can argue why Drew and Sheamus should be there. I really want Drew there on his own against Roman, and I'm still fighting for it, Quiggs. I want Drew to beat Roman at there because it's your first European show in since 1992 SummerSlam. Drew deserves it because Drew has not had a big win in front of fans.
I was going to say, because when he beat Lesnar.
He beat Lesnar at the Performance Center and then beat Lesnar at
Were that the Performance Center? Or, okay, they were
One of it was at the it was the Performance Center. And then he lost to Bobby Lashley in Tampa. So he's not had a,
moment.
He carried, he was one of the strongest people during the pandemic era, like the Thunderdome era.
Yeah.
He was legit. You could tell he really wanted that ball.
It was, and you're right. It was a shame that he didn't get to have it in front of the fans. So
to beat Brock, he eliminated Brock at Royal Rumble, and I do think that was in front of fans.
Yeah,
that was like Astrodome.
That was a couple months before it all hit the fan.
Yeah, that's true. So, anyways, but I I just think if, and maybe with Stephanie and Triple H kind of in charge, maybe they'll talk Roman into laying down at Cardiff, just to say, maybe you could build up Roman saying, hey, he hasn't been pinned in the States. That's a way to, because he's not been pinned, I think, in.
Or does Drew win via, weird stipulation, but doesn't get the belt?
Yeah, I don't know if you can do that, though.
But
I mean, it gives Drew a win.
And
it's still that but.
It's just a matter of how long do they want to roll with Roman.
So if you have Sheamus in there, can you have Drew pin Sheamus and Roman doesn't get pinned, so you can still have Roman get pinned down the road? I mean, that's still a lot because it doesn't have Roman with the titles.
What if so I don't know, there's so many ways to go. What if there's the failed cash-in attempt?
Yeah.
Where, maybe Sheamus smacks Drew with a shillelagh or something. And then as Roman's, he hits the finish, holds up the belt, Drew comes in, claymores him, and then Theory comes out, tries to cash it in, and then just gets immediately speared. So it's not the official cash in.
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah.
I don't know. There's a
different
bunch of ways
you can build it, but I still think Drew needs something big there. I don't know why. Well, I do know why.
Because it's the feel good.
Yeah, and
it's the feel good.
Deserving of that. I mean, especially like I said, in this home field.
Yeah.
But we know how.
Would the Drew thing feel rushed though? Like, are you building it towards?
You've been building Drew you've been building Drew here and there. But
are we building Drew versus Roman? Like say Drew wins.
You could have a month to do it, and I think that'd be enough time.
Okay.
Because we don't necessarily. It's not like Drew is coming out of nowhere. Drew's been to the top of the mountain a couple times.
Yeah, I'm just talking in terms of setting up the whole story.
Yeah, I think from SummerSlam. So we got a month till the Clash at the Clash at Castle. Sorry. So
okay.
I understand long term, but then at the same time, short term's fine. Sometimes we run long term into the ground.
Yeah. I mean, I just like
House of Black in Death Triangle. That's all I gotta say with that. That thing has been
beaten to death.
Jericho and Eddie Kingston, which we'll get into. So, by the way, Lacey Evans and Aaliyah were supposed to have a match, but Lacey Evans told everybody to go to hell. Apparently, they'll have an official match next Friday before SummerSlam. Anyways. Oh, and Raquel.
Right. Yeah, so why did they change Raquel's? I caught that, like, I was tuning in for SmackDown and I saw it one time. I was like, oh, Raquel Gonzalez finally got called up. Why was it changed to Rodriguez? Was Gonzalez not Hispanic enough or something?
I think it's once again that whole, we're going to separate the characters completely from NXT.
But what are you changing? The R to the G to an R?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And then they did change her finisher move name because I believe it meant something different. So they're calling it Tiana Bomb. I forget what it's originally called, but
Cochina Bomb.
Yeah, which something I think like Cochina does not mean what we think it means. But anyways.
I have no idea.
So anyways, and then Brock Lesnar, I think, cooled off, came back, beat up Theory, and we'll see him and Roman at SummerSlam. Do you? Do you want to be a part of our predictions next Saturday? If not, do you think Brock or Roman wins that?
I think somehow Roman's still going to win. They're just going to ride that wagon. I'm going to be out of the fiance and I are going to DC next week, so unfortunately I won't be able to join in. But if I could sneak away, I might be able to throw in a few comments here and there on Facebook.
How about this? Do you think this is the end of Brock?
That's actually my first response would be no, because he's going to keep getting paid. But Vince was the guy.
Vince was the only guy that I felt like he really.
Brock and Vince were the guys.
Yeah.
So it could be the end.
I don't know what Like, is it a year? You know, is he just doing?
It might
Is he
not
once a
even
month?
be. It might not
Might be
even be a year. It
appearance.
might be appearance. You know,
Yeah.
we'll have you for 8 appearances, 8
Yeah,
matches.
and maybe you've only got a few left, but I
Yeah,
mean,
like
him
it's
and because I just feel like Brock. I don't. Brock is kind of that last of the old guard. So, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it very well could be. Thinking about it again, it very well could be
And we
the
can't do
last.
any more with him and Roman. Like, this has to be it.
No, this has got to be done.
Yeah.
Like you can't have these guys do 5-minute suplex, F5, spear, punch, spear, F5, spear, 1, 2, 3.
And you're building this as last man standing, so you better get some tables out. You better get some chairs.
Well, remember the last time they did a last man standing with Roman, they had the handcuff spot on the on the thing, and the refs stopped counting at 7.
Yeah,
that's like, wait a minute here. Like,
nope, it's last man. Yeah, that's still what was it? Cena and Batista, where they duct taped. I think he duct taped Batista's feet, so he couldn't answer the 10 count.
Oh, something like that. Yeah.
So you have ways to protect both guys in the last man standing, but.
I just found it funny they couldn't get the handcuffs undone.
So
the ref's at like 7, and he's looking at it, he's like, anytime, guys.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
7.5.
7.5. 7 3/4. So, I'll be curious about Brock. I still wonder about Cody and Triple H. Like, was Cody just all in on Vince as his go-to guy, and now he's going to be like,
I don't think there's anything left between Cody and Triple H.
You think they?
I think that's over.
They washed that away.
I think that was all played up to an extent. I mean,
now, first, I do think Cody. I mean, there was a lot of Triple H comparisons, especially with him and Brandy, being so on screen, and I mean, no offense, having all the baby stuff, like.
Yeah,
it just was like, come on.
And then, I mean, I think he even said
the breaking of the throne. I mean,
that was the big thing. I think Cody even said on the Stone Cold show that.
I haven't seen him on that yet. I need to watch that.
I think he mentions in there, like, I hold, I don't have anything against Triple H because he would have done the exact same thing I did if the roles were reversed.
That's true. Yeah. So, Sami Zayn's going to be on there soon. I think this weekend. I really want to see that. I think Sami Zayn's going to be an interesting conversation with Stone Cold.
The one with Bubba Ray Dudley was really good.
Oh, okay. And
they start sitting there doing shots of Jack halfway through.
I need to catch up on these. I know they always come out, and then I forget to watch them.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that would be good. That one would be good, and then you just forget about it.
Yeah. So, let's do a quick commercial break for Elite Performance. Then we'll get into AEW talk, and then wrap up the show. I didn't accidentally boot. Oh no, there it is. Okay, good. I thought I booted you. I apologize.
Nope, I was going from comment. I was flipping back over here to comments to see if we had anybody chiming in.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It sign up for free, and I'm like, I'm not signing up for anything. Crap.
Okay, good. I was like, oh no. Let's just get into the Jericho and Kingston match. Did you watch this?
I thought
it was bad. That's all there.
I mean, how much longer? I mean, I get Jericho is still probably one of the top 3 guys on the mic.
Yeah.
And
he can still go in the ring. But
he can't do the deathmatch stuff.
One-on-one is too much.
I think the finish was so convoluted.
Yeah.
That it was just, oh, I'm gonna hold him here, and oh wait, slip. Oh,
yeah, because if you watch the GIF, so you had
Kingston being
Kingston
like
was held
held
by
up.
Sammy Guevara. He ducks out, and then Jericho and Sammy Guevara start to tie up, and Eddie Kingston misses the
spinning backhand or
spinning
something.
back fist. So Jericho and Guevara end up doing whatever to him, and they take out Eddie to get the win. But then Jericho still goes through the barbed wire. So
Yeah.
you still feel like you need to give
What
Eddie
was the
a
point?
win. And we can't forget Anna Jay reuniting with Ty Conti.
And joining the society.
Yeah. There was a lot of weird stuff.
It feels
and then
like
people did bring up. It was funny. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
The barbed wire was everywhere, but the hard camera ropes.
Of course.
So that was
And the ring really exploded for.
That's the thing. So was this as bad as that? Because I think it was.
I think in terms of the hype for it, it's not on the same level. The finishes were bad.
Yeah.
But
I guess because this was on Dynamite versus that being on pay-per-view probably gives that the edge, just because of
which one was on Dynamite? The ring explosion?
No, this was the barbed wire anywhere. Sorry.
Okay.
The ring that was barbed wire exploding match, and then sparklers went off.
Yeah, and everybody was thinking it was going to be like the old. What was it?
Is
it Okada? Okada.
I was thinking more of Terry
match.
Funk and Mick Foley, like legit, some sort of explosion.
Yeah, like the old Japanese. I can't remember the promotion.
Yeah.
X
whatever.
Something.
So, anyways, some other stuff. Darby Allin and Brody King are still going at it. This involved Miro coming out. It was interesting with Miro. He had one sunglass, which was darker than the other lens. So kind of playing up of Julia Hart, playing up Malachi Black with the darker eye. So I think Miro with House of Black could be interesting. I mean, that's another big guy.
And then are they? Yeah, but I want to put Miro in like the big guy. Are you talking big guys in like structure, big guy, like height wise, or just?
Yeah, I mean,
I think I'm thinking Miro as the big guy being like a moneymaker, big guy. But
like Miro and Brody King are pretty similar size wise.
Yeah. It'll definitely be interesting, but does he team up with Darby and Sting to go through this, or does he just try to take them all out one by one?
That's the one. I like me and Greg talked about. Unfortunately, this is probably going to be Sting and Darby Allin against Brody King and Malachi Black, which I need Sting to just I'm literally waving off the camera, like Sting.
But,
okay,
what's Sting going to jump off of this time in no sell?
Well, he doesn't no-sell anything anymore. I mean,
oh, that's right. Yeah, he doesn't even.
He gets super kicked by the Young Bucks, and then it does the Hulk up. So, jeez. I mean, anyways.
I mean, it's nice to see him back, but yeah, it's like at some point, like
he should have been done. There was the cinematic match with I think it was Brian Cage and Team Taz. I don't remember who, but. Maybe Ricky Starks against Sting and Darby Allin. Well done, well produced, cool looking. That should have been it. They just have Sting, as a mouthpiece or support. I mean, we've had Sting wrestle 3 or 4 times now since. And
but the first 2 times they were pretty awesome just to see him. Like this dude, 60-some years old.
I know he wants to I think he wants to finish it his way, not in WWE. Like buckle bomb by Seth, where he almost, breaks his neck.
Well, he pretty much did, because I mean, your last version of Sting in WWE is like literally trying to stand up and his legs just
give out,
just bananaing, spaghetti leg.
Yep. John Moxley and Wheeler Yuta picked up a win over Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor. I thought a really solid match actually for Trent and Chuck.
Those guys have always been really
under
good.
The radar.
Yeah. There was a guy I used to work with. He was a big Chuck Taylor fan, and it was always the grenade in the shorts that exploded in the ring. What was that?
I've never known these guys until AEW.
I've seen some Chuck Taylor clips. I'm trying to remember what was the one
Maybe
promotion.
PWG stuff.
Yeah, it was PWG stuff. Chikara, PWG.
Yeah,
but
they do everything there.
Yeah, his stuff was always good. Like he would he gets slapped and he'd scream like a 5-year-old girl, high pitch.
And of course, Trent Beretta's where's Trent? Like originally was Zack Ryder way back in the day, so that's interesting stuff there.
Okay.
I started to say Brian Cage, Christian Cage, the new Dick Christian Cage, who's just literally trying to say anything he can, to get heel heat.
He's so good as a heel. He's so good.
I don't know. I don't buy it in a way because it's Christian. Like, I still think of him as Edge 2.0. Like, I've never taken him seriously on his own.
I mean, it kind of depends, though.
Like, he got his title run because Edge retired.
Yeah, and that's how everybody remembers it. But nobody remembers that he's been how many time Intercontinental Champion.
That's true. Yeah, I'll give you that. And of course, TNA. I don't know how his TNA run was, but I heard it was very solid.
He's actually in their Hall of Fame, so I think he was like a Triple Crown winner.
Isn't that
there.
When, like, WWE gave them Christian, and then I think WWE got somebody like at the time. So that
there. It was like a Ric Flair, and Christian like swap.
That could appear on, So, and then Ric Flair ended up on back at WWE, I think like a month later. But.
Yeah, something like that.
Now the big thing here was Luchasaurus was teaming with Christian. Jungle Boy shows back up
with the chair.
Luchasaurus reunites with him. So you kind of wasted away. That's where short term was kind of. That should have been longer term.
Yeah.
You didn't need to give Luchasaurus back to Jungle Boy this early.
Like if you just had.
Now who's Christian going to have on his side?
Yeah, because you could have drawn that out for probably another couple of weeks, like where you just have Jungle Boy standing at the top, and then you could have like Luchasaurus literally playing. Like he takes like 4 steps this way and 5 steps back to Christian, and then you do vignettes and promos of like. Jungle Boy, like Luchasaurus. Like, do you remember the time? Like X, Y, Z.
But no,
and then Christian comes in with the mind twist, and
no, you need it. I don't get why they went so quickly back to this. I've always said AEW. I think their downfall is things don't breathe. Even on their shows, like I remember Hangman Page won like the title, and then they're like, okay, next thing, like they just. Or no, it was when he retained the title against like Bryan Danielson. Then they're like, okay, our next match. Like they didn't even give it time to like marinate. And this is one of those like, we had 2 or 3 weeks of Luchasaurus teasing the dark side, but we really didn't get to see what it could mean. And maybe Luchasaurus still ends up doing it.
Yeah, maybe he swerves.
I mean, I guess you almost have to now.
Or do we get Luchasaurus's brother, Muchasaurus?
You just have another.
And he's another.
Off the mask.
No, he doesn't take off the mask. But instead of, another guy in another dinosaur costume comes out, and he's a Canadian Saurus or something.
Oh man, sorry. I gotta go wake up. Ricky Starks got his FTW title. Defeated Cole Carter, who was previously with Tony D'Angelo just a couple weeks ago before he got busted for weed.
So what's the point of the FTW belt? Like, is it an official belt? Or is it just
not? It is unofficial.
So it's just whoever.
This is Team Taz's belt.
Okay, so the leader of Team Taz gets.
Taz brought it out way back in the day because he always felt like he was a champion, uncrowned champion.
Yeah,
Taz had it
because FTW meant F the world. I'm the champion.
Taboo, of course, wanted off Taz, because I think they did a everything title, but they brought it back and gave it to Brian Cage.
Yeah,
originally. So I don't know what's going on with Brian Cage, by the way. He's like maybe
he's a part of a stable now or something.
He is, yeah. But just to think overall, like he was the Joker for one of the battle royales, and he won it, and then was kind of booked highly. And
he got hurt. And then
Danhausen stepped up though and said he wants Stark's belt, which is interesting because do we bring Hook in because of that, which is Taz's son.
That would be real interesting.
So that's where I think this all goes.
Do you want Danhausen to wrestle more, or do you want Danhausen just to be the mouthpiece?
I think Danhausen's going to wrestle Starks, but then does Hook come out to want the title? That's probably where we go from.
Bring it back to Glory, we'll call it.
Well, I mean, Hook going on his own.
But yeah, like, Hook's going to take the title back, and like, because I think it's the worst kept secret that it's Taz's kid.
Oh, well, they say it on commentary.
Okay, so it could literally be a thing of.
Well, what does that do to Team Taz? I think is the bigger story. So,
or what they might be able to do is do the whole, I'm not going to be. Well, you can't do. I'm not compared to you, so I'm going to come after your old belt thing.
Yeah, that would kind of defeat the purpose.
But
unless you do, maybe you have him win the title and trash him.
Or could Taz, in a way, build up this group or whatever, and then swerve everybody and join Hook, and you have a team of Danhausen, Hook, and Taz.
I think you could do a team of just Taz and Hook. I think you could do that.
And that gets Danhausen out to do his own thing.
Because Danhausen is his own thing anyway. Let's face it. I think Danhausen will be fine.
And that's kind of what I was going to ask you.
What does that do to Hobbs and Starks? I think Ricky Starks is fine on his own. That
puts them in a feud instantly.
Yeah, I think that makes me. I know people hate it, but he makes me think of a lot of early Rock, like trying to find that character. Like
maybe
like Rocky might be Nation of Domination Rock. Like Ricky doesn't totally know his role, but he's slowly finding it. And he's still young. I think he's.
Yeah, I think I get the comparison, but he's not going to be at Rock. But
no.
But in the terms of he's trying to find himself, yeah, I can see that.
But if he finds himself and becomes his own, that's. I think even be compared to The Rock right now at that stage is saying something for him.
Yeah, but you could also then compare him to Stone Cold Steve Austin for the same reason.
Yeah.
As
I only get Rock vibes because you have such the facial expressions, and like now that he was mocking Danhausen or something, like there was he started
very.
Like The Rock. Remember when like Farouk would be talking, and of course we have the GIF of The Rock like. Doing that whole thing. I think you can have Ricky Starks play up that side of his personality to really define himself.
Okay. So, I get that. I can see it.
And then speaking of finding herself, Jade. Man, you talk about finding the right gimmick. I mean, Jade looks, and just think she's only had these, I think the 30 matches.
2 years?
I don't know if it's that.
I'm just trying to think in total, like she's been training for how long?
That could be, sorry. That could be, I know 30 or it's 32 and 0 is her streak. So that's the number of matches she's actually had.
Okay.
Like her and Braun, like Braun's had, however many, like that's his number of matches on NXT. That's like.
Look, I heard Goldberg's up to like 3,973.
Well, and we might as well say Curtis Axel's never been eliminated from the one WrestleMania Battle Royal or Royal Rumble. So yeah. But
and I heard, and Goldberg's just went up to, I did some research, 4,395.
That was funny back in the day when they'd be like, it jumped from like 50 to like 75 out of nowhere.
Yeah.
In a week.
It's been a week.
Like Jade is at least.
It's legit.
Jade is pretty legit. Like this is 32 and 0 or 30.
And they're not doing house shows or anything like they're counting.
This is just on TV.
Anytime they're on TV, it's either on YouTube or TV. So,
so I still think Chris Statlander becomes the 1 and 50 and 1. I don't know if Athena does.
What about well, I guess they got Ruby Soho out of that officially with the turn.
I don't think Ruby Soho's anywhere near that.
I thought they would have used her a little bit more. Because she came in as the Joker. She got that massive pop. And then she just kind of like went to dark.
She should have beat Britt probably for the title for one of those times.
Yeah.
But then Thunder Rosa was,
just lightning.
Yeah. Thunder Rosa was slowly building herself up. That's, it's one of those times I think you ran into, too many women at the, like, that you could have thrown at Britt Baker. But I think Greg has been on record maybe saying maybe Britt could defeat Jade, but I don't want. I think
That's a step back for.
This has to be either Chris Statlander or Athena. Like those are the two that are going after Jade.
Yeah, and it would make more sense for Statlander to do it. You don't want to have.
I think Statlander has all the momentum heading into that. So yeah,
I'm more or less spacing that off of that's the AEW talent versus the newly acquired.
Yeah.
Because
if you have this is more the like secondary title to the women's title.
Yeah.
So Jade loses, it's the old IC title to WWF title. Like you bump up Jade, and Jade probably beats Thunder Rosa down the road.
Yeah, you could build that up.
Like Jade is women's champion this time next year, or sooner.
They slow build the women's titles though. They don't really change those out of the blue. Like that's had how many matches between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, and how many times is Britt Baker going in? Like this could be the time where she finally loses it.
Oh yeah.
And that was like 3 or 4 title defenses in a row, and you're like, when's it gonna happen?
I think Jade at Double or Nothing is women. Like that's where she becomes women's champion. Or I'm trying to think of what they have. Maybe Revolution, which would be February-ish. Either February-ish or Double or Nothing in May. Like Jade is our new champion by then.
Yeah, because what they'll likely do is they'll long build that one.
Yeah. I think you could get to 50-0 before then, and then maybe, like I said, Statlander or Athena. Athena does nothing for me.
Now,
does Athena do anything? Have you seen much of Ember Moon / Athena?
I always thought it was decent. The guy I talked.
She doesn't have any personality though, does she?
It's iffy. But I always talked with my college buddy about how her finishing move back in WWE or even now should have just been called she was doing the whole Ember Moon thing. Yeah. It should have been called the Blood Moon Stunner.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, it looks cool, and if you hit it right, it looks really good.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the name we came up with. It's like that would have been pretty cool more than the Eclipse because you got the whole moon thing. She's got the orange hair.
Sure. Oh yeah, blood red. That makes sense. Yeah, I like that.
So, but right now, nah, she's not really doing anything.
I guess she is who she is. She is who she thought she is. Like
and we let her off the hook.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she's playing up who she is. So, but
do you think Jade could also, run to 50-0 and then say, "I'm ready for a real challenge"? Then
could you do?
You have the champion versus champion.
You could do that too, or you could do Asuka where she vacates it.
Or what? I'm trying to remember what title is it that they have that you can like cash it in for? Who does that? Is that a Ring of Honor thing? Or no, it might have been an Impact thing.
Impact had they had a title or they had a case. Didn't they almost have a case like WWE, like the Money in the Bank?
Something. I thought somebody somewhere had a title. Had a title that you could have kept the title, or you could have you could have vacated the title to become the number one.
C or something like that. It sounds like I think they used to call
something like that.
Because I thought that's where. Now, of course, I've drawn a blank on who. Somebody got one of their first 4 titles that way. Like Alex Shelley or Chris Sabin, someone like that. Or James, like there was not a Christopher Daniels or.
It's the NWA. The NWA has a title like that. It's the. Okay. I think you can. Is it? Is it?
It's something I know what you're talking about exactly though, because like you could either go for that title or you could cash in and go for the world title. I wonder if Moose might have done that too recently, like in the past couple of years, but
who knows?
Anyways,
I just remember that being a stipulation, so maybe that could have been a thing.
And here's some of our winners from Rampage. John Silver, Adam Page won. I love Hangman so much, and I think he got did dirty on his title run.
But that's what happens when you get CM Punk and you gotta shoot him up. Just a casualty.
Plus, he did those 2 matches with Bryan Danielson. I mean, the Adam Cole. I don't know if the Adam Cole stuff got over like they thought it would.
No, I don't think it did.
But And then, yeah, I mean, I knew you had to give it to CM Punk, but then Punk gets hurt. So,
Yeah, but you can't.
I mean, you
And,
couldn't have
and now,
messed it up.
and now you
I
have
mean,
Blackpool Combat Club winning all the titles.
yeah, so Lee Moriarty won, but he won kind of dirty. Matt Sydal came out there, good old Evan Bourne, and said,
Best
"Oh,
shooting star in the game,
you're gonna, unless he
unless he
slips,
flips and
unless he slips like in his debut."
That was bad.
Sorry, I'm always gonna remember that. But.
Oh yeah, of course. You always remember the first and the last. Like you always remember him doing the shooting star into the RKO, and now you remember him for slipping.
That's all. So he's going to take on Lee Moriarty. I guess they're building this as like teacher student. I have no interest in it, but Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter still a thing. They won. They're kind of going after Thunderstorm. I wonder, which is Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm. I kind of wonder if we're going to build into AEW women's tag team titles, because we've had a lot of tag team matches for the women's side of things.
Yeah, but the thing is I feel like with tag team titles, you have to, man or woman, you have to actually have a team. Like you can't just throw two people together.
Yeah.
At least with Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa, like they have a mutual thing going on where they've saved each other from attacks, and now like we're teaming up to go against.
Britt and Jamie
they've always been a thing.
That's true.
Wasn't there a third wheel in that?
There is. Rebel, not Red, or Reba, not Rebel, or Rebel, whatever. Yeah.
So
she's only wrestled like a few times though. I don't know what she does. I mean, if Britt Baker
really
can run a dentist's office and wrestle, I would think Rebel could
come up with a gimmick.
Her gimmick is Rebel, not Reba, or Reba, not Rebel. Like that's her gimmick. So DMD, she's the dentist assistant. So and Jay Lethal won just to build him up, which we talked about.
I'm so happy for Jay Lethal finally getting TV time.
You think? Yeah, I think he's really shown well now, but the Saddam Singh guy with them
you can lose him.
Yeah,
lose it.
I don't know if he's even wrestled. Like I think he's wrestled once with.
I don't think I want to see him wrestle.
I
don't even want to see it.
I was gonna say I don't think he's gonna look good.
I think I just saw a gif where he bench pressed the guy and like went to do the slam or whatever, and it wasn't like he got him up, he held him, and then he did it. It was more of like a oh crap.
Yeah, because he just does not look ready at all. So
no,
he might need more time at the Nightmare. Oh wait, not Nightmare Factory. He might need to be QT Marshall. So,
yeah, need to go back to school there for a little bit.
Yeah. I guess I do think Cody Rhodes still runs the Nightmare Factory, but that might be an interesting topic too. Will some of those guys go to AEW or WWE? So it'd be interesting to see.
Well, how many guys came out of the WCW power plant?
Yeah.
I mean, outside Goldberg.
I was gonna say, was that only Goldberg?
But I guess that was more affiliated with WCW. But it's not like Lance Storm's school where he ships guys off to.
That's true. Yeah.
Certain he doesn't.
I guess they can just go wherever they.
Or Bubba Ray Dudley's school where. He again in the Stone Cold one, he's like they had a class photo. It's like, oh, this is so and so. She's here. They just went to New Japan. They just signed with WWE.
Him and Devon. It sounds like they've had a little not falling out, but I don't think they're as close as they used to be. Did he venture to that?
No, the one thing that he brought up with Devon was more like how they accomplished everything together, and then when he came back for the Royal Rumble in Philly when they 3D'd Miz, he wanted to make sure that was okay with Devon before they did it because he had 3D'd nobody else without Devon.
Oh, okay.
So it seems like, there's still something there, but I think Devon might run something in the school.
Well,
maybe.
Devon is a producer or agent.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
In WWE. So,
that's right. Yeah, he's there.
Well, and of course, Bully Ray broke up with longtime girlfriend Velvet Storm or Velvet Sky.
The beautiful people.
So I don't know. Maybe Bully Ray's. I mean, he's kind of, he says some stuff on open
Busted Open.
Busted Open. What do they call it? Is there a name for the show? Like him and LaGreca.
I don't know. I've heard a few clips. Yeah.
Yeah. Busted Open Radio. I mean, every once in a while he'll say stuff and people are like,
but he's also smart enough, and he's made an entire career out of saying things that he doesn't even mean.
I mean, yeah, if we can't probably replay some of his ECW stuff anymore.
No, you can't. They're gone.
They're gone.
They're gone.
I mean, and there were times, like they said, they legit didn't know if they were going to get out of the arena. So
yeah, like especially in Philly, when you pile up a crowd in Philly.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, they probably just parked out in the parking lot. It's not like they, had.
I'm not even sure they parked. They might have just walked to the nearest hotel.
Yeah, that could be it too. Yeah, not even had like security, backdoor exits or anything like that. Like legit, So, let's do one more commercial break, and then we will wrap up the show here.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Dan over at BWSPORTS1.com and Black and White Sports. And I'm wondering if you're ready to buy or sell that home, now's the time, and I got just the person for you. Mr. Sean Nugent, a.k.a. Rockstar Realtor himself. 317-503-8322. Put that home on the market. Get into your dream home with this man. Talk to Sean at Talk to Tucker today, 317-503-8322, and make sure you tell him the boys over at BWSports1.com sent you.
All right, so this is our last call, Quigs, where throw out anything that maybe you just have sitting in your brain. I want to say thank you so much for coming on. I really have enjoyed this time. We're going to have you come back on again. Feel free to plug the hell out of whatever show, just a bit outside our baseball talk, which is Sundays at 11.
Yeah, we shoot for Sunday at 11. We didn't go on this afternoon because John and Matt were in Philly last night for the game. There was a country concert after, so I think they got home at like 1 or 2 in the morning.
Oh, busy time there.
Yeah, we've got the trade deadline coming up. Okay. So we've got the MLB trade deadline. Everything has to be completed by Monday. I think it's August 1st or 2nd.
Okay.
They
just had the All-Star game, right?
Yeah, just had the All-Star game. So we started up the second half. Philly got swept.
Who's the team to beat?
Probably the Yankees. Okay. I mean, they're on firing on cylinders. Toronto's come out on fire after firing their manager.
I heard the Red Sox took a beating last 2 nights ago.
They got pummeled.
Because
they look bad.
SmackDown was in Boston at the time, so of course I think Pat McAfee brought it up like it was 25-3 at one point.
Yep, they got absolutely backhanded. They caught a Judas effect and never woke up.
And then who won? The Rays won last year, correct? Are there?
Last year was the Braves.
Oh, Braves. Sorry,
the Atlanta Braves.
I'm thinking of Tampa Lightning. The Lightning have won 3 in a row, I think.
Something like
or 2 in a row. Either way, Tampa Bay.
You can ask. Matt would know more than me. Matt's the hockey guy.
But the Rays won a couple years ago. Has it been a while?
No, I don't think they've. Have they been? I don't remember.
Anyways, okay. Yeah, we need the source.
Yeah, get the source back on to correct me. Him and I
Who's the National League team to beat? Is there anybody really showing up?
The Mets are really good. The Braves are catching fire. The Dodgers and their highly inflated all-star team payroll.
And the Dodgers have been in how many World Series since like 20? Like they've in quite a.
Probably been in about 1 in the last 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So they're always there.
Yeah, that's them and the Giants seem to kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, I got to look.
The Giants have dropped
Giants
off.
Last year, first year under Gabe Kapler, they kind of came out of nowhere. And this year they're floating. I think they're floating around 500, but that division in general is just crazy because you've got LA out there, you've got San Diego who always puts up a fight.
Yeah.
Dodgers are still there.
Diamondbacks.
They're not doing too hot.
Did they win back? They won 1 back in the early 2000s.
They won 1 back in like 01 or 02.
They beat the Yankees because they had Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling.
Yep.
right?
Yep. And then the winning hit off of that is Luis Gonzalez flaring
That's
it
right.
out
Yeah. Is that a
over
game
Jeter.
7?
That was
maybe?
a bases loaded game 7,
Okay.
tying run type situation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at the Braves. The Braves hadn't won anything since '95. The World
No, they
Series.
won it. They won. The Braves won it last year.
Yeah, but I meant before that.
They were always in contention.
They win against the Indians, or no? They beat the Indians.
Cubs beat the Indians in the World Series.
Okay,
ending their 200 some odd year drought.
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
So I think
But
Cleveland,
the Braves beat the Indians, I think, back in '95 or '94.
Yeah, one of those 2 years.
Because I remember way back in the day, so I used to watch baseball in the early '90s. And
when Cleveland was loaded up with Jim Thome.
The Braves, I mean, 91, 92, what they won?
91.
They won 10 division titles, I thought, in a row.
Oh, they for a solid decade between Schmaltz, Clavin, and Maddox.
Yeah.
They ran horse on everybody.
And I remember there was I still remember the one game, there was some game against the Pirates where it was a playoff game, it was late night, and somebody stole home to win. I couldn't tell you.
That might have been was that the Sid Bream game?
Could have been.
In
91, 92?
And Barry Bonds was throwing it in, Sid beat the throw. And that's what started the next 20 years of the
We
Pirates.
had relatives that live in Georgia, so I just kind of bandwagoned the Braves there. But
no, you're good. I mean, I'm a Philly fan through and through. So
I'm not a Braves fan anymore. But I was just like the '90s. I would pay attention to them. But yeah, I kind of remember those those runs that they had. Never could do it, and then they did win that one, and then like you said last year. So. So yeah, you guys got trade talking up. How about MVP? How's that looking? And
it could go a lot of different ways. I mean, in the American League, you can have Aaron Judge run away with it. Nationally, you could have Mookie Betts, Paul Goldschmidt's up there. It can go all sorts of different directions. Same with the Cy Young and the pitchers.
Okay.
You could have guys from Miami. Going up there for Cy Young because he's got like a sub-2 ERA.
Okay.
He's impossible to hit. He's got like 95 plus mile per hour pitch that breaks to the right, 90 mile per hour pitch that goes the other way, and it looks like a man among boys this year against him.
Well, they were talking about the All-Star game, how they weren't sure that who's the Dodger now. Of course, I can't think. Kershaw, sorry. Like they weren't sure if he should have started the All-Star game just because he has a high. He only has 12 or not many starts.
His whole thing was a lot of people are calling for the guy in Miami, Alcantara, to start just because he's been the most dominant pitcher.
Yeah.
And if you were going to give out a Cy Young award to begin the year, it would have been him in a landslide. But you give it to Kershaw, who's the Dodgers starting in Dodger Stadium. So. And they really played heavy on the legends in this one with Pujols getting the legacy call. They got Cabrera in there.
Okay.
So this year they kind of went with the legends feel in a way.
What I think I saw there's a small section of the fans that do the pitch, the pitching style of Kershaw with him, which is kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, the big old
they'll do the
big old set.
So that's kind of fun. But one thing I've always said about baseball, though, like if you said, "Hey, here's Mike Trout," I'd be like, I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. What do you think? What can baseball do to market their players? I mean, I feel like they're trying to. Like I see Dairy Queen commercial with is it Freddie Freeman?
With Harper and Tim Anderson.
And then there's another one, the San Diego and Dodgers player. But I could be wrong. But anyways, like what could they do? Because I feel like that's one thing that the NBA. I mean, NBA has got player marketing down.
Yeah, but NBA also has Nike in their back. They've got those guys are actually going out with Nike and Under Armour and just putting out commercials.
That's true. Yeah.
They're not the baseball guys either don't have that or just they can't do it.
Can't get it.
So it could be that. They really shot themselves in the foot this year with the potential season being threatened.
Yeah,
so
that was true. Because it got started late, right? It started a couple weeks later.
They started late, and we talked about it on the show a few times. If it was the players' fault versus the owners, and it boiled down to billionaires versus millionaires, in a case of who wants to get more money.
Which hurts fans.
And I mean, you tally it up. I saw a report. I can't remember where I saw it, but the average cost to go to a baseball game with your family, like you go get 4 tickets, couple drinks, like some hot dogs, parking, you're looking at $200 plus $250. Like it's insane.
I wonder if that compared to an NFL game though.
But the NFL too, you can market everything a little bit better. That in baseball too, it's such a long. I love that it's a long season, but it also hurts it. Yeah. It's 162 games.
Do you think baseball needs to get away from I hate saying like that old guard, like they want to keep so much tradition of it?
I used to be there are some things I'm still very traditional on.
Yeah.
But I've really gotten the last 5-6 years or so, it's let the boys play. Yeah. I have no problem with a guy hitting a big home run and throwing the bat 20 feet up in the air. But
because
then
that could be somebody's, I hate saying gimmick. If we circle back to like wrestling,
it could be, yeah, bat flipping boys.
Like who won? Like remember, everybody wanted to bat like Ken Griffey Jr.
Mm-hmm. And he had the pose there and the little snap at the end.
The backwards hat, like who would? That was a thing, right? Back in the day, like
he would.
Was like, oh my god, like he's wearing a backwards hat. Like,
he's wearing a backwards hat in the home run derby and batting practice. How oh my god, the horror.
Oh god, he's having fun. Like
but
that's the thing. I think you need to show them having some,
And in the same regards too, if a hitter celebrating a home run by throwing the bat, pounding his chest and doing all that, then the pitcher should be able to hit a guy in the head and strike a guy out and do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about hitting him in the head though, right? Like
that's part of the old guard. The old guard is if you showed up a home run, you got hit in the ribs.
Like that, like baseball's the one that's like, well, it's an unwritten rule. It's an
unwritten rule to hit a home run when you're up 10 runs.
Then if it's unwritten, then it's not a rule. Like, sorry,
there are
some could be somebody's out. Like I could just punch you in the face and be like, well, my unwritten rule is I punch people in the face.
Yeah,
sorry.
But there are also some things in terms of the showmanship and sportsmanship where if you're up, a certain amount of many runs, you're not stealing bases.
Yeah.
Or if this is a real heated one.
You know what I mean? Like if you want to play.
There's a real heated one as of late that I've gotten in debates with people. If you're in a no-hitter situation and you're coming up and it's late in the game, do you try to bunt to get on base?
Yep. Oh yeah.
And I'll argue that you don't do that all day.
There was somebody who did that once.
Yeah, it's been attempted, and then Twitter old guard blows up, and then you've got new guard. So you've got.
But I mean, you're just trying to get on base, right? I mean.
But you want the first hit to be a legit hit. Like if you smoke a ball up the infield, and the infielder makes a diving grab, and he's got it in his glove, and then like he makes an errant throw, like. They'll more than likely mark that as an error, or like he makes a diving catch, still have the no hit. Yeah. So you want the first hit to be clean.
If you didn't mark the error, even though it should have been an error, and they give him the hit.
Yeah.
Then Twitter would blow up. So yeah, or the old the umpire that totally missed the call.
Oh, there was a Philly game that both John and Matt were at last night.
Right?
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of umpires. Like last night, John and Matt had a unfortunate event of seeing one of the league's worst umpires do what he does best and blow calls.
Yeah.
And they had the unfortunate luck of the draw that game.
Yeah. Oh, I hear it in the NBA all the time. You'll be like, "Oh, you don't want this referee." I guess I must not watch it close enough to really pay attention. But
the NBA had the whole ref scandal how many years ago, where Tim Donaghy was taking bets and rigging games.
I did in that book, man. That was it was interesting. So, all right. Well, that is all I've got on my end. Oh, sorry. So
get some rest. Just a bit outside Sundays, maybe Monday this week.
One day this week. So
keep an eye on the page. We'll figure it out.
Follow BW Sports 1 on the Facebook page. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, you got us on YouTube. I did say, so you missed it 1 week. We had Gaston in our YouTube chat. Gaston has not been back since, though, quick. So we're kind of, Bell must have laid into him or something, but that was pretty awesome. I wanted, and Big Ben is supposed to be getting in touch with the woman who dated Triple H and then dated Paul Heyman a week after they broken up.
That's a big swing.
In the 90s is what he said. So that's a
big swing.
We're trying to get this woman on there because I got to hear this story. This might blow up our podcast.
How do you go from Triple H to Paul Heyman? Here's how.
Especially in the 90s, Triple H was just starting his run. Now,
would that have been WCW Triple H?
Terrorizing?
Good. I saw a good meme. It was terrorizing is all elite.
Yeah. Well, they've already started the Vince McMahon is all elite, so there you go. Or Shane McMahon. But of course, you can catch us. So next week, we'll be live at 6 p.m. Saturday to do a prediction show. And then Sunday, we'll go live to recap everything we missed. My phone is blowing up, so someone really wants to text me, even though I have Do Not Disturb. And I already know who that person is, but it goes by the name of Mom. So if your mom isn't blowing you up, who else is? So, anyways, that is the show today. Man, this Vince McMahon stuff, I feel like we still have.
There's more to be written.
There might still be one.
There's more.
There'll be a prologue or epilogue. Sorry.
Yeah.
I hope that's it, but yeah.
Yeah, you want it to all go away, but I feel like there's one or two more dominoes. One or two more dominoes are going to fall.
They don't want to make big changes because you have to show the shareholders, it's business as usual. So, but that is a whole nother conversation for next week. So thank you for joining me so much, Quigs. I appreciate you coming on, not last minute. We talked about it last week, but
thanks for having me. If you guys need a fill in or just want somebody who won't shut up and drag content on for a little bit, I'm game.
Join the club. If you haven't seen, I can circle back to anything. So this is I'm a 2-time podcaster this week. State of Basketball and this. So I like us cross branding. I think that's good to kind of maybe open up different audiences. So.
Oh yeah. And then I didn't realize there were a bunch of wrestling fans in the old, in that group chat either. I like Matt. I do the baseball podcast with Matt. I didn't know
I didn't know. Yeah. He's mentioned here and there. So yeah. And then, Damon and the Storm, they talk about old school wrestling like in the 90s. So I said if we're ever low on content, I might just have them come on and we'll just shoot the breeze about WCW, Monday Nitro, and Monday Night Raw because those stories have not been beaten to death yet.
Nah. Or you could even do your favorite story, whether it be an on-screen thing story or maybe you're at a personal event.
Favorite Attitude Era moment, favorite Attitude Era, favorite Nitro moment, favorite ECW, which I kind of feel like is Impact now. They're playing the ECW role where they're just doing their own thing. Like people watch them and they enjoy them, but they just kind of ride their own wave.
What's Nick Gage's promotion?
That is GCW.
GCW. I feel like that's the modern ECW.
That was really catching fire too, because I actually ordered their pay-per-view last year at some point, which I've never ordered an outside WWE, AEW, pay-per-view, and I ordered them.
Yeah, no, I feel like they were catching wind there for a little bit. So I mean, it's definitely a good time to be
tailed off though. I don't know if it's just because
they had Cardona as the champion, and then he kind of again that was the whole ruffle feathers thing.
They were building up the Briscoes versus a special tag team, and I think a lot of us thought that would be FTR that night, but it was like 2 GCW originals.
Okay.
And they won the titles off of the Briscoes at the time, and I can't even tell you who those names are.
Well, sometimes you got to pander to the OG fans.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that's why you will out Taker every once in a while.
Just roll out Hulk Hogan. He's in a wheelchair. Just do a couple pumps, do the flex.
Ric Flair will probably die on, wrestling in the ring. So.
Nah, Ric Flair's final match.
Yeah. Produced by Conrad Thompson. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, enjoy the week. We'll enjoy SummerSlam next week. I think it should be very interesting to see Brock and Roman, what happens there. And we'll talk to you guys next week on Saturday at 6 p.m.